The March 10th regular meeting of the Dayton City Council, stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion and a second for the agenda.
Make a motion?
I'll second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. Consent, I need a motion and a second.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to, I know he's not here, but thank Hayden for all of his work. He's been really great to work with. He was great to work with when I was on Planning Commission. He's been great to work with as a resident. I've worked with him on some things. And he was great to work with as a council member. So if you're listening, Hayden, thank you.
I second that, yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I had a question for Jason, but I guess he's not
Yes, Councilmember
available.
Fashion, I can try to do my best, as best I can. Marty and I, Jason is out of the office today. So.
This is on item C, construction contract award for the mill and overlay project. The,
Yep.
Apparent low, and I have to get on the right page here. Sorry for that, it was in the information that we had on one of the line items, and it might have been mobilization. The apparent low was $83 and everybody else was around $30K. Let me see if
It's
I
another
can-
one of those bizarre anomalies. Where you wonder if they really
It was the
didn't
Yeah.
drop a zero.
the
Not
tack
mobile.
coat, wasn't it?
Yeah, not mobilization.
Number 12, it looks like.
Oh,
Yeah, there you
it's
go.
$83 versus $30,000 roughly.
Yeah,
So that company doesn't need to apparently get costs for tack codes. So they put a penny in there for the cost, so it wasn't a unit price error. That's a fact that they might have had extra from last year or something that they're able to get a hold of that they don't need to charge for it, so they charged a penny.
Okay.
Wherever else is charging $3.50 or so to purchase it, they might have ability to get it.
yeah, as long as that was
Yep, that is correct.
caught and
Yes.
I mean, not that it's a mistake, if they did it deliberately, great,
Yep.
then, but it's just so it's not coming back as a change order.
Correct, yeah. So they do have to put a unit price in there if we do a unit price. So if they essentially free for them, they have to put a penny down. So it cannot be zeros
Okay,
in the system.
that's all I had.
All right, any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. And we are on to open forum. Anybody here for open forum? Okay, Marcia, come on. Is limited to 3 minutes for non-agenda items. State your name and address. No council action will be taken and items will be referred back to staff.
I tried to do Zoom for the Planning Commission the other day, and it wasn't working, and they had the chat disabled. So I thought, well, I'll come and see you guys instead. Lucky you. First of all, in reference to the A3 zoning that's going on in the north part of the city, I'm just really struggling to understand that. And my understanding is it means you can build 2 houses if you have 20 acres, right? Not 1 for 10?
Correct.
So 2 for 20, 4 for 40, 6 for 60, 8 houses for 80, and 10 houses for 100 acres. But then what if I have 110 acres? Can I do 11 houses, or do I have to have 120 acres, and then I can do 11 or 12 houses? And these houses, I understand, can be on like 1 acre lots. And I'm wondering about that. If I have 110 acres and I put on 10 houses, then I have 100 acres to do whatever I want. Can I put up a storage facility with space to rent? Could I do that with the other 100 acres? I just don't understand how that works. So anyways, in reference to 113th Avenue, which you've heard about before, what a disaster that road has become. Have any of you driven down it lately? It's so rough, and the farther you go towards the golf course, the rougher it is. Construction vehicles have really ruined it. There has been a road restriction sign posted for a little bit, but it's not affected the traffic going down it. Just today, I saw big cement trucks going down the road. I saw semis going down the road with trailers filled with houses going to be built. I saw semis with huge, heavy earth-moving equipment on it going down the road. I saw many, many, many dump trucks filled to the brim with dirt going down that road. And you know, when the speed limit was set there, it was just a farm road. It was just a farm there. That was the only thing on the road. Then a golf course was added, and then a bowling alley. More recently, there are many side streets added to 113th. A lot of traffic is coming out of those new developments, and as I stated, a ton of construction vehicles. This road carries much more traffic since the original speed limit of 45 was set. And none of these vehicles, cars, trucks, semis ever stop for the stop sign on 113th unless they absolutely have to. I would welcome a review of the speed limit on this road, or perhaps a temporary reduction of the speed limit until all the road is rerouted onto 114th. I'd also urge you to have the developer hurry up and build that 114th extension. And I also urge the police to monitor the traffic more closely, especially with the road restrictions in place. As I have said, we and both our neighbors on either sides of us have had many cars in our yards and damage done lately, and I wish you would do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to come forward?
Hi, my name is Lauren Mazzano, and this is my husband, Rich. We live at 14940 143rd Avenue North in Diamond View Estates. My husband and I felt it was necessary to attend your meeting this evening to express our concern regarding the future water tower off North Diamond Lake Road. I know several of our other neighbors have attended meetings also. When we moved to Dayton just over 4 years ago, our neighborhood was 90 to 95% completed, so we were surprised to hear the city had plans to build a water tower. A water tower not only lowers the value, but it significantly changes the feel of the area. It doesn't seem right that the city allowed the development of an upscale neighborhood with homes up to $900,000 value, and now without consideration for the homeowners, the lot on North Diamond Lake Road was purchased and is the potential future tower location. The city of Dayton has so much open land, we would really love to propose that you look at another location. I heard there isn't an immediate need for the water tower, so when future development could start, if you could look at building it there so that the people that are building in that area, they would be aware of it before and be willing to still build and invest in that area. But when we invested, it looked like it was completed, and we didn't realize there was even room to put one of, a water tower. The other thing I'm wondering about is there's so much industrial growth in the area. Is it not possible to put a water tower where there's the industrial growth, where it wouldn't affect their values? Or is it that that's not close enough to where the water source is? Thank you.
So I guess I just wanted to add that, my wife and I, like she said, we built about 4 years ago. Our plan was we found a beautiful lot. It was going to be a retirement home. So, what we've got a concern with is obviously the view, for one, would be right out our front door, 1 block away. So, and it's up on a hill, so obviously we'd see it. The second would be the value, property value. We bought this home. We were fortunate enough. We are set up for retirement. We don't have a mortgage, so we don't want to move. I don't want another mortgage. So if we go about doing this and the water tower is built, I know people say that, it won't impact. Well, there's a couple of impacts along the site, but also the value. That's my main concern. I know my assessed value most likely won't change, so I'm going to be paying my taxes that are, I think, a fairly substantial taxed in Hennepin County. So when I go to sell, I know that's where my value is going to be impacted negatively. So I guess what I ask is that the council consider a meeting that is called to have the neighborhood come and understand what the plan is. We've had a couple of different things, that there is just a water treatment facility that's going to be placed there first, and then possibly a water tower. So I just ask that be considered for us to come voice our opinions again and understand from the council the idea and the thought process behind that tower
And if
being
there's
built.
any possibility for another location, because
Yeah.
I know there has to be a few water towers.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Can you guys fill one of these out for me, just so I can have your spelling?
Oh, yep. I'll fill it out.
Good evening, everybody. Keith Grover here, 113th and Fairbrook. Half the things I was going to talk about, Marcia already talked about, maybe not half, but a couple of things I wanted to bring up. Something that's actually before the Planning Commission currently. It was last month, and it's going to be again next month, and it has to do with changing the development process for Sundance 12th edition from what they originally had proposed and were given permission to do. Yeah, specifically relating to their maintenance building. I was absolutely amazed and quite proud, actually, of how many people showed up at the Planning Commission meeting to speak against the proposal that they had put out there. In moving the maintenance, if everybody knows where it is now, it's pretty much adjacent to the parking lot for the golf course currently. And they propose to move it clear over to the north end of their property, behind the Brayburn Edition homes. And it was those folks that were here, there were like 30 people that were either had given written statements or had come to the meeting and spoke against that. And it kind of follows the vein that I've been talking about now for months, going all the way back to the edition that we were toying with, or we had been proposed to us for the home up on, I forget where Putner Street, what is that street?
Also,
Yeah.
Sorry. And that adjoining homes in the background, and the fact that we didn't have any real restrictions on when we put commercial right up to the back of people's homes. Well, these folks all bought those homes, knowing they were next to a golf course, and the promises that they were made was every attempt would be made that the golf course would be there, and also that the property directly behind them, they were told was probably undevelopable for homes, so they didn't have to worry about that. But now, the golf course wants to stick that ugly maintenance building. You can make a pretty steel building, but it's still not the same looking out your back door, looking off your deck, looking at a golf course, seeing trees. I think it's just unfortunate that, that they made that proposal to start with, but I think it would be a big mistake for us to allow them to do that. I think a good place for that maintenance shop is close to where it is today, because everybody knows where it is. I understand why they want to move it. If I was them, I might want to move it too, because it's moving it away from the homes and the lots that they're building homes on and they're trying to sell. It's a whole lot easier for them to sell a lot, get more money off from that lot, if there's not some big maintenance shop adjacent to or within sight line of those new homes. But I think it's really unfortunate for us to even consider putting that maintenance building and that structure back behind the homes that currently exist there. And it's going to screw up their view. The other thing that's really an issue with that is the road that they want to make to that facility. They want to use 113th, the new design with 114th. They want to bring a new road in off from the other development from residential streets and use that as their access to and from their maintenance facility, which I clearly did not understand either. But that was their proposal. So people worried about the view, the wrecking of their view, the noise, the traffic that may be caused from that, and certainly they're worried about their property value. Your yard is, or your home is worth a whole lot less. We've heard some here tonight. People worry about that. I mean, their home is probably the biggest asset that most people will have in their whole life. And if we're doing something that hurts that asset for that many people, again, there were like 30 people that came and voiced their opinion, either through mail, emails, or through coming here and talking about us. And from my experience, the last 40, 50 years, in representing people, if one person came with an issue to a meeting that I was conducting, I considered that 10 people. So if you've got 30 people coming, that's a lot of people that are concerned about this, because not everybody wants to come in front of everybody like this. They don't want to come to a meeting. And that's just my thought process, and I just wanted to bring that to you guys. Sooner or later, it will get from the planning commission, and it will get to you guys. And that's kind of my feelings about the whole thing all the way through. And anything you could do to help them at Sundance, clean that up. They're building a few homes out there now. They're going to be wrapping up when it's warming up. We are picking up so much garbage that's blown from that site. If you drive down 113th, it looks like it's a trail in and out of a garbage dump, because there's so much junk along the edge of that road that's blown out of the fields, blown off those sites. I pick it up in my yard, my neighbors pick it up in their yard. Maybe we can talk to them again about doing a better job of keeping their stuff on their own property. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else for open forum?
I wasn't going to say anything, but here I am. Lee Hallquist, 11471 Fernbrook Lane. And the only complaint I got right now is, if the builder's not going to pick up all this garbage that's blowing around, why don't you guys come out and pick it up? Because trash devalues homes, it devalues neighborhoods, and there's garbage all over. I threw out about a 8 or 10 foot piece of Tyvek last week out of my yard. I got a 4x4 piece of pink insulation blown into my yard, and there's just garbage and bags. And if the builder's not going to pick it up, somebody else has to or should, and it's making Fernbrook Lane look bad. So that's all I got. I think somebody should pick up the trash, and I pick up what I can reach, but it's not my job, as it were.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on forward.
Hi, I'm Duck Lady. Actually, no, I'm Stephanie. 13145 Grandstrom.
Name?
Stephanie.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not Duck Lady. I have one chicken left, so technically I'm Poultry Lady. But I digress. I have a handout here. Did you guys want a copy?
You can give it staff.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm here to talk about the issues that I brought up at the last city council meeting about enacting a city ordinance and that requires enforcement agents to unmask and display identifying badges during enforcement actions. There has been agents on our streets, heavily armed, and not adhering to basic law enforcement standards. I am seeing increased extremism and hostility in our communities and online. My family has experienced verbal assault and racial slurs in multiple occasions, and there has been an increase in polarization and uninhibited expressions of hate. It should not be a normal thing for people to hide behind anonymous messages while outwardly expressing their hate for a particular demographic or individual. We need to set up community standards to denounce hate and better define some of our aspects of our city culture. The city of Dayton needs to make it clear that hate and extremism are not welcomed. City ordinance establishes basic law enforcement standards in our local community, and that would help. I think it's very valid to not want crime in our cities. I think that most of us can agree that safety is a priority. It is inaccurate to say that all people from a particular ethnic group are criminals. That is a stereotype. Whatever your ideology, I think we all share goals for our community safety. I do want dangerous criminals to be prosecuted. I do want due process and for things to be done lawfully and humanely. I want safety to be a priority for everybody. So how can we improve this general goal of safety? I think it starts with de-escalation and building of trust. De-escalation is a critical skill for any type of enforcement agent to have in order to reduce the need for force. When situations escalate and tensions rise, it is more difficult to make good decisions. We have witnessed in Minnesota many missed opportunities for de-escalation. We have witnessed posturing of armed, masked individuals not being forthcoming with who they are, which escalates a situation very quickly. One of the core steps of de-escalation includes building rapport and connecting with people in order to lower reactivity, defensiveness, and intensity of conflict. Agents not required to show their face or provide clear identification are two reasons why there is still fear in our communities. Recent conduct of federal enforcement agents in Minnesota did not adhere to normal standards of law enforcement practices in our state, and is another reason for distrust. There are reports of well-armed bounty hunters in Minnesota recently. We need Dayton to establish clear boundaries of conduct for all enforcement agents in possession of a firearm that complies with state and local standards of law enforcement. As it stands, anyone can pose as an agent without being required to expose their face or verify who they are. Bounty hunters also do not need licensing or training like law enforcement officers do. If we do not require verification of agents or standards of best practice, how do we decipher between who is acting legitimately and who is not? How do we hold anyone accountable if we don't have basic legal framework or guidelines in place for best practices? We need a city ordinance to require agents to unmask and show identification. If we do not enact such an ordinance, we are undermining local law enforcement, eroding community trust, and increasing the opportunities of serious crimes to occur. Concerns for safety are not a partisan issue. Trust cannot be built without credibility and transparency. Dayton is the fastest growing city in the state, and the reality is there's going to be changes in demographics of this city. Dayton consists of many residential, family-oriented neighborhoods. There will be many folks from all types of backgrounds that will become Dayton residents. City ordinances are critical for the growing population because they provide framework for best practices to help maintain community standards, prioritize public health and safety, and create a welcoming environment and culture that rejects hate. It would also help to promote de-escalation, decrease opportunities for impersonating law enforcement, and reassure the growing community that the city of Dayton values all residents. I am asking for you to please take this information into consideration and enact a city ordinance. By doing so, the city council would be showing the community a commitment to being a city built on trust that prioritizes safety of its residents. Addressing these concerns would be a reinforcement of Dayton's mission to promote a thriving community and to provide residents with a safe and pleasant place to live. Again, we can find common ground when we realize that our goals are closer than we think and find the silver lining in each other. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
If I'm going to talk on the block, can I talk now?
No, we'll wait till then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I talk twice?
Nope.
About a separate thing, she's asking.
Oh,
Is it two separate things?
About a separate item?
oh, yeah, come on up.
want to follow.
Yep. Name and address?
Alyssa Seneschal, 11980 Fernbrook Lane. I spoke a few weeks ago regarding ICE in our community, and during that time, since I only had 3 minutes, I was not able to go into depth about my interaction with Dayton Police Department and ICE. I have a great, again, law enforcement is, I have a very high standard, and I am greatly, I can't even think of some words that I want to say right now, but because I wasn't prepared to talk on this, but I do hold law enforcement to a high standard. I appreciate law enforcement. What's happened recently in how Dayton law enforcement has interacted with myself when ICE has been involved has not been great. They have led me to not want to be a Dayton resident. And that's sad because I've been here my whole life. The fact that an officer told me that it is legal for ICE agents to go through the Dayton trailer park in middle of the night honking their horn and brandishing a weapon, he told me that they could do that because that is legal. They are switching license plates. They are parking in businesses, and businesses are calling the police department, and the police department saying that they cannot trespass them. ICE agents almost hit my vehicle. There was video footage. The ICE agent was screaming and yelling at me and threatening me. Nobody followed up. Nobody. And so talk about de-escalation. I am a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen here in the city of Dayton. And law enforcement is allowing ICE to go after people who just want to work. Like Stephanie said, they're not criminals. They want to go to work. They want to take care of their families. They want to let their kids go to school. But right now, they cannot do that. We've had to have separate parties, like we're the Underground Railroad for these students to be outside of their home because they are afraid. Since ICE agents illegally pulled over 2 van buses, these students aren't going to school. The people that live in the Dayton trailer court are not stealing your money. They are not all criminals. Could there be criminals? Absolutely. Every single place that you go, there could be criminals. But to pounce on this environment or this community and not stand up for the people that need a voice is very frustrating. My son is brown, and he gets to carry his birth certificate and his passport. And the people in the city of Dayton, the law enforcement, city council, I don't know, are acting like that's okay. So I just wanted to, because last time I only had 3 minutes, I just wanted to reiterate that having a gun pulled on a 14-year-old is not acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable, and it shouldn't be the standards that you guys are setting. You as a city council and law enforcement. Again, we're all white in here. It doesn't matter. You guys are going to go home to your nice homes, and it's not going to matter. But the people, the vulnerable people that we should be taking care of, because that's what we are, a community, is really where we need you to step up. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody online?
If you wanted to speak in open forum, if you can use the raise your hand function. I'm not seeing any.
Okay, we will go on to staff consultant council updates. Zach?
Yep, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Following our work session tonight, I did talk about scheduling another one. I don't know if you guys had a chance to check a look at your calendars. Does the 24th work? Do we want to do a different night? Or does the 10th work of April? I believe that's the first meeting in April. I'm not exactly positive of the calendar, but.
7?
Nope,
The
sorry,
14th.
14th, apologize.
April 14th?
Yeah,
April
the
14th
24th
or
or
March
14th.
24th. Or we could do it for night. Depends.
Either one works for me.
Either one works for me.
Either one. Either one.
Did you say 14?
14th of
Yeah,
April
14th.
Oh,
or 24th of March.
that's the day before Turkey, and that's fine.
Thank you.
I guess, yeah, I'd prefer the second one, but I could do both.
Okay. I will follow up with that. Otherwise, I've provided a long, lengthy weekly update. If you have not responded to that, I would greatly appreciate a response, just because there's a lot of those things that are giving direction to myself, so I can give that off to staff, and appreciate the responses that I've gotten, and so that's my weekly update, or the staff update I have tonight, because it was a long one a couple weeks ago. Thank you very much.
Amy?
I do not have an update.
Marty?
Just a couple of things. Wellhead treatment plant update. We've been working through all the valves, getting them adjusted and operational. The SCADA operating system is being programmed in now. There's a lot of moving parts on that. Today we pressurize, the pressure vessels were chlorinated to activate the green sand media. Chlorine samples were taken at that point, and second samples will be collected tomorrow. There has to be a 12-hour gap between those. And then the bacteria testing of all 8 cells will happen by the end of this week. And then we'll have to do the process pipe and all the other bits on the system before it can be put online. Staff training is Thursday this week, so we've got a full day's training down there. And we will have access to various different people as follow-up training as we go along this thing. With regard to Elsie Stevens, I've spoken to a couple of other contracting companies about getting pricing for concept development and bidding documentation. I haven't got pricing back from them just yet. I need to talk to one of the companies on Friday. And MSA have submitted some revised costs as well, so we'll have 3 different sets of figures to look at to evaluate for moving that project forward. And then I'm waiting for preliminary sketches and costs from Polygon on a couple of structures that they're working on for us. That's all I have.
Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. We've concluded our interviews for the part-time firefighters. We've extended 8 conditional offers to them. They're currently in that process of going through their psychological exams currently. Once they pass that, they'll move on to the health strategies portion of that. And the goal is to bring them on roughly May. For the month of May, we'd work with them to get them acclimated to the community as well as to the equipment and apparatus. And then hopefully we can go live with data crew come June 1. So that's kind of the goals that we have set forth for ourselves at the moment.
Gary, are these all brand new recruits?
Yes.
Firefighters from other communities or whatever?
Yes, we have a good mix of firefighters. We have 4 firefighters that have extensive training from other communities. We have 2 that have experience from immediately surrounding communities. And then we have 2 that already had training, but maybe not firefighting experience, but they have a fair amount of medical experience.
I have another question. For like continuing like education, like training for them, like keeping up on their fire too and their hazmat, are we assuming the responsibility of tracking those training hours, or are we assuming that they're those that are full-time or working in other communities, that they're getting their training hours there?
No, so requirements for training, Councilman Henderson, will be the same. So they'll have the same training requirements as our current paid-on-call staff does. So they need to make 4 of the 6 trainings within the quarter, just like we've always had since I've been here. And then we will document that from our side. So even if, give an example, if they went to bloodborne pathogens in another community, we're going to probably go to bloodborne pathogens here. That's just a kind of a lame one, but we are going to make sure that they have all the same training requirements that are needed.
Well, oh, sorry, this is like another, I mean, we're in the weeds, but I apologize, but will we be requiring them to come back for those department trainings, like the Thursday night trainings, or will they be doing that while on shift?
No, they are to interact with the other paid-on-call. I have to think about that for a minute because I had duty crew, and duty crew affects both, so that's what I've been trying to come up with. We have paid-on-call staff and part-time staff now, so just to delineate, part-time is the 8 that we've hired from outside the community or potentially in the community. So they will participate in training and have those same requirements. They'll be coming back and participating. We are looking at the possibility, if there's an opportunity, to offer daytime training, so that could be daytime training for current staff as well, and that offer a nighttime training as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Chief?
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just to let you know, we are finalizing our body-worn camera compliance check or audit. Should be to you guys next meeting for approval. And then we also just finished up with our low light inclement weather qualification for all the officers.
John?
We had a nice 4-hour planning commission meeting last week, and that will all come to fruition in the next city council meeting.
Yeah.
That means 4 hours for us too, huh?
Well, hopefully not, but.
I got nothing.
Sarah?
First, I apologize. I'm pretty sick and heavily medicated, so I apologize if I'm not at my best tonight. But I was wondering if the city, well, two things, related to the same thing. The Audubon Society has a Lights Out Twin Cities or Lights Out Minnesota for spring migration and also fall migration. Spring migration is between March 15th to May 31st. Many birds and insects actually migrate at night. That's actually when they do most of their migrating. And lights can really mess with their systems. And so the request is to turn off unnecessary exterior decorative lighting, to dim lobby and atrium lighting, and to turn off any exterior lights that are not necessary between midnight and dawn from March 15th to May 31st. I have two separate requests related to this. One, there is a little lights out little flyer that several cities have put out for residents, just to, not a requirement, but just to let residents know that this is a thing that to do. I had an example from Stillwater that I found, but many cities have put this out. So one request was if our city Facebook page could put something out about the Audubon Society Lights Out. And then my second request was that the city itself can turn off or dim any lights that we have the ability. And they explicitly say, like, this is not about street lights or like things for safety, but anything that's decorative or just turning down lights, or even if you're working, just asking employees to close the blinds at night so that the light is not leaking out of your window if you don't need to. Just close your blinds, right? So those are my two related but separate requests. And I think because of the timing, it is March 15th. We will not have another meeting before then. And I don't know if you need council approval to post that on our social media page.
I don't, Councilor Van Ness, I don't think we necessarily would if is it just a request of us?
Yeah.
I don't know if necessarily we're looking, maybe for direction would be helpful, just from city staff's perspective, because we do get a number of these requests, and we've tried to I don't like using the all or nothing method, but that's kind of what we've adopted, is because it's hard to pick and choose. So we don't want to pick one over another one because it's a city item. So we want to make sure that we're as down the middle as possible of either all or nothing. So we've tended to be on the area of nothing just because it's easier to be only for specific items, and it's not then we're picking and choosing. So that's what we've done historically. Doesn't mean that we can't change that, but that's what we've done historically. So direction would be appreciated on that aspect.
So do you want me to bring this up as a different agenda item, or right now can we get like head nods from the rest of council?
I don't think I have a problem with it, as long as the lights are.
Doesn't mean,
What's that?
doesn't bother me at all. I mean,
I mean, we're not
kind of support
requiring.
you get, whatever kind of,
yeah.
that's what you get.
Not a fan of lights, so but I understand the safety aspect.
So I'm hearing at least 2, 3, 4.
I would support it as well, and birds must not have looked at the calendar because they're moving now. So.
Yeah. I think it's the bulk. So obviously, like, because weather goes into it, but the bulk of it is from March 15th to May 31st. So.
It was those nice days that threw everybody out.
Yeah, well, it does. My poor animals are also like, I got some of my chickens who want to go brooding. I'm like, honey, it's going to snow in a week, so you can't lay any babies right now.
Councilor Van Asten and rest of council, we will do that and send it out. So.
And is it okay, like, does the city, if there are any lights that the city can just dim or turn off for that period, is that an okay thing, like, to do? Can we do that?
I think we can ask.
If direction from council is to do that, then we can take a look and see what we can for items, mostly public works.
My
and
only
stuff.
concern would be something that you look at and say, oops, maybe we shouldn't do this, but in general, I'm okay with that.
I mean, I think a simple closing our blinds
Yeah.
at the end of the night, we can ask staff
Yeah.
to do that at least.
Yeah.
Because we do have security
We have
lights
some
that stay
security
on.
lights and stuff which
Yeah.
need to stay on, but I don't know. Yeah, we could do what we can.
Yeah,
Except for the-
I just, and like they said, at the end of the day, you're also saving money. You're turning lights off that you don't need. You're gonna also say, like, not obviously budget breaking money, but a few dollars here and there.
If you want to save the mosquitoes, we're going to have an issue.
I'm not asking to save the mosquitoes, but there's a significant number, so. I will happily go down the weeds on that if someone wants to.
I have enough direction, I think, from enough head nods from
Okay.
council to be able to get the direction. So I appreciate that. And we'll take a look at what we can do.
Thank you.
I don't even know what birds are back yet.
Nothing?
Nothing more for me.
Nothing. Okay, on to item E.
Yeah. Yeah, I put her as a panel, so she should be able to. Kristen, are you able to turn on your mic and your camera?
Yes, hope you hear me.
I can hear you, yes. Can we,
So I'm gonna see
not,
if she can, I'm gonna stop
see.
sharing my screen here for a second. I'm going to stop sharing and hopefully,
there we go.
there's Kristen. And then, Kristen, can you try to share your screen?
How's that?
I will do, sorry, I'm trying to see if I can make it any bigger. Is the council able to see that? Is it big enough?
Yeah, we can see
Slides
that.
too.
Yes, I did send the slides out, so. Take it away, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, we're having a discussion on the Fox Safety Camera and Automated License Plate Reader, also known as the ALPRs. In 2024, during the 2025 budget process, the Economic Development Authority brought up the idea of getting Fox Safety cameras to the council for the budget. During the budget process, it was decided that we'd purchase 7 cameras throughout the city and implement them in the 2025 budget. We worked with Fox Safety during 2025 to get 3 installed, and due to some permitting issues, we didn't get the last 4 installed until end of November, beginning of December. So we've only had the full amount for a short time. We have had some successes. We've been able to get a couple stolen vehicles that hit, able to catch them, arrest the suspects, and they've spent some time in jail. Also, we've had cops alerts on an attempt to locate and a welfare check of a gentleman wanting to commit suicide. We were able to locate that vehicle, make sure the driver was okay, that he was back on his medications and everything was okay. We also had a hit down on County Road 81 of a vehicle known to be involved in numerous thefts. So we were able to put our officers down in our business district to watch to make sure that that vehicle wasn't committing thefts in Dayton. And that's one of the main reasons the Economic Development Authority wanted flock cameras, is for the assistance on any thefts that we receive. I have Kristen here from Flock Safety to go through a presentation, and then we'll answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much, Chief. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to join you. And tonight I'm going to provide an overview of license plate readers, what the system does, what it doesn't do, some safeguards that we have in place, and some additional examples of how agencies are utilizing LPR to impact public safety in their communities. So with that, I'll jump right in. A little bit of history on how Flock came to be. We started back in 2017, and it was actually from an organic reason. Our CEO, Garrett Langley, he and his neighbors were experiencing an uptick of property crimes in their own neighborhood, and a bit frustrated with it continuing to occur. They went to local law enforcement, and I think they brought with them some personal doorbell footage of the crimes being committed, and they handed it to law enforcement and said, here you go get them. And while grateful for the cooperation and the footage, law enforcement, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough of an investigative lead to pursue. And Garrett, being an engineer by trade, got really curious and asked, well, what would be helpful in this situation, in this investigation? And he learned that the vast majority of crimes have a vehicle involved in some way. And so vehicle details were a really critical investigative lead. He learned that LPR technology had been around since the 70s, but legacy vendors often sold data to third parties. It was often a pretty expensive lift for many communities, and by the time they were able to purchase the hardware, the software outpaced the hardware, and it just wasn't ideal. And so he created Flock to provide an LPR, our flagship product. We've since grown into other products, but LPR was our flagship product, and we really wanted to provide an ethical, efficient, and affordable solution for communities. And we are proudly serving over 12,000 customers that trust us. We're solving 10% of reported crime in the U.S. We're helping first responders solve 10% of crime in the U.S. And we see many agencies and cities and communities turning to technology, not to replace officers, but to provide an efficient tool. With staffing shortages, with law enforcement resources stretched very thin, this is just another tool in the tool belt to help solve crime. So digging in a little bit more specifically into our license plate reader technology. This here is a really great depiction of what our license plate readers capture. It's a still image focused on the rear of a vehicle, and it's taken from public roadways. So the cameras in your community, the 7 cameras, are at fixed locations. Again, they're capturing images of vehicles on public roadways. It's providing a point-in-time image. There is no way to continuously track a vehicle, and again, very much focused on vehicle details, not people. It provides 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week coverage. For law enforcement, we are integrated with real-time alerts from the National Crime Information Center, as well as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or you may know them as Amber Alerts. And we also provide the ability for agencies to create custom hot list alerts. So Chief had mentioned that there was an individual who experienced a mental health crisis. So in those evolving critical situations, law enforcement is able to create a specific alert for that vehicle that is part of that public safety concern or a suspect vehicle, and enter that into the Flock system so that when that vehicle passes by a camera in your community, your officers will be alerted within seconds. We are also ethically built. We do not utilize facial recognition technology, period. This is not a speed tracking camera. This is about providing indiscriminate evidence. And I just shared a bit about our real-time alerts. Again, when a wanted vehicle passes by a camera in your community, that's when your officers will be alerted to that vehicle. We do utilize what we call vehicle fingerprint technology, and this is really important. So it's not just about license plate numbers. Oftentimes when witnesses see a crime occur or reporting information to police, it's very difficult to recall a full license plate number. And so that does not limit officers with the Flock system. If they have a description of a suspect vehicle or a wanted vehicle, they can enter those vehicle characteristics into the Flock system and search for that vehicle, even without having the full license plate number. They can utilize a partial plate number. Our machine learning is able to identify the different states of the license plates, the vehicle make, body type, color, back racks, top racks, etc. So again, a very critical tool for when you may not, or your officers may not have a full license plate number. Very important is that Flock is built with privacy in mind, and there are several points that reinforce this. The first is that the data is 100% owned by the city of Dayton. So your camera network, all of the images that are captured by those cameras, that data is owned by the city and will never be sold. we do work with private customers, so commercial businesses and HOAs. Those entities may choose to share their camera network data with your law enforcement officers. However, it does not work in reverse. Private customers will never have access to any sort of government hot list alerts, nor will they be able to query the system to search Dayton's camera networks. It only works one way. Those private entities can only share with law enforcement. It does not work the other way around. Another key feature is that Flock automatically deletes the data that is captured at 30 days by default. So all of the images that are not searched as part of a criminal investigation, when they hit the 30-day mark, they are permanently deleted and unrecoverable. So that provides your officers with the ability, limited historical information. They can search for suspect vehicle information and investigative lead, and have the ability to look at 30 days of data, but that is it. And so that balances, again, providing investigative value with safeguarding privacy, not stockpiling images unnecessarily over a long period of time. In addition, the Flock LPR cameras only take images of publicly available information. As I mentioned before, the cameras are focused on public roadways and only capturing vehicle details. Another important point is that your agency alone decides if they are going to share camera network data with other law enforcement agencies. That is completely within your agency's control. And there is no sensitive information within the Flock LPR system. There are no names, addresses, no car registration information. It is solely the images of the rear of vehicles, focused on the rear of vehicles, and the metadata, including date, time, and location information. And although there's no sensitive information, we take great care with safeguarding your data. All of the data is AES 256 encrypted. It's end to end. From the moment that image is captured, it is encrypted. We are NDAA compliant. We are CJIS certified, SOC 2 Type 2 certified, ISO 27001 certified. We're also aligned with security protocols established by NIST Cybersecurity, as well as the Cloud Security Alliance Framework. And then accountability and transparency. Flock very much believes in supporting transparent use of technology, and we have, this is actually Dayton's LPR transparency portal, and you'll see here it is a public-facing web page that provides your community information on how your police department is utilizing the Flock system. It provides information on your policies. It gives a listing of all of the agencies that your police department has elected to share their camera network data with, the number of cameras within your community, and some statistics such as how many hot list alerts were received in the last 30 days, how many searches were conducted in the last 30 days. Something very important to note about accountability: every single search of the Flock system, and whether that's conducted by your Dayton police officers or by any of the other users that you have elected to share access to Dayton's camera network, every single one of those searches is logged. It has a unique user ID associated with it. There is an offense type search reason that must be selected, and that provides the ability to, and that is permanently recorded and provides your agency the ability to audit the system and ensure that it's being used in accordance with your policies and any laws and regulations. We strongly encourage all agencies to implement consistent and recurring auditing to ensure proper usage of the system. And then coming very soon is Flock is going to be providing a tool, a sort of proactive auditing alert tool, which will shed light on any anomaly searches. So searches that are repeated. Again, so it's giving your Flock administrators the ability to, drawing attention to any anomaly searches. Something that comes up often is a question of whether or not LPRs violate the Fourth Amendment. And as noted, LPRs are taking a point-in-time image focused on the rear of a vehicle on public roadways. There is no way to continuously track a vehicle. And as mentioned, that data retention, images not used for a criminal investigation are deleted, and courts have consistently found that taking images of public documents or license plates on public roads is not a violation of privacy. Over 30 appellate and federal district courts in at least 14 states have upheld using evidence from LPRs or license plate readers as constitutional without requiring a warrant. Recently, Schmidt versus the City of Norfolk was decided, and the court concluded that the limited number of photographs that were available do not track the whole of a person's movements, and it does not provide an intimate window into where citizens drive, patronize, visit. And then in the State v. Simonson, a Washington State Court of Appeals, they noted that based on established legal precedent and constitutional principles, no privacy rights exist for the mere act of photographing a license plate in plain view on a public road. We believe that each community can utilize this in alignment with their values, and that public safety does not have to come at the expense of community values and vice versa. We have leading compliance features that we've implemented. There are search filters available that agencies can enable, which prevents any searches related to immigration enforcement or reproductive health at the request of that community. We have federal limitations within the system. There is no federal access on our nationwide or statewide lookup search features, which are reciprocal sharing capabilities. Only agencies can share their data, not flock. As mentioned before, we have the permanent audit logs available to cities. And then lastly, our legal response. So our contract mandates that we alert you. It is your data 100%. So if flock receives a subpoena for your information, we would notify you to that. And that way your counsel, your legal counsel can decide on how to respond. Something we're very proud of is our partnerships with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as well as Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Both of these national organizations see incredible value of law enforcement having access to license plate reader technology. I believe it's more like 400 missing children cases have been resolved with access to this technology. And then with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they see huge value in not only providing critical evidence in impaired driving cases, but also hit and run situations where I believe it's over 40% of hit and runs go unsolved. And so they see LPRs as providing law enforcement critical evidence to help solve those cases and bring solace to victims. And then another organization that we're very proud to have their support is the Oakland, California chapter of the NAACP. And we're having more and more conversations with chapters across the country. And they shared that in a moment when communities are demanding both public safety and equitable justice, Flock LPR offers a powerful tool to reduce bias in policing. These cameras are designed to detect only vehicles associated with a crime, which removes the subjective judgment that often leads to disproportionate stops and harmful interactions with Black and Brown residents. It is a clear example of how technology can support fairer and safer policing. And lastly, just to finish up, we are working with over 80 law enforcement agencies within the state of Minnesota. And Chief shared examples of successes. We get to hear many times daily of different types of crimes that are impacted and cases that are impacted by law enforcement utilizing LPR. This is an example of an armed robbery that was we helped solve the West Allis, Wisconsin Police Department. They received an alert that a Kia SUV that was wanted in connection with an armed robbery out of Milwaukee was in the area. Officers were able to initiate a traffic stop. The suspects fled. They ended up apprehending 3 suspects, 2 of whom had several felony warrants. And again, it resulted in an arrest and a homicide. So they were, West Dallas PD was alerted on a stolen Hyundai sedan that was actually connected to a Milwaukee homicide. Officers were able to respond quickly. A chase ensued, but they ended up apprehending those murder suspects. This is an example mentioning Mothers Against Drunk Driving from Van Buren, Michigan. So a hit and run. A hit and run led to a fatality, and within 8 hours of the incident, the suspect was apprehended with the help of, and as mentioned before, a custom hot list alert into the Flock system. And one of their lieutenants shared that without Flock, the case very likely would have gone unsolved. And then I mentioned different types of crimes. Something that, we're very proud, I mentioned our partnership with National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Well, in addition, we've heard countless stories of silver alerts or individuals suffering from memory issues, dementia, and Alzheimer's. Cases like this that was shared from O'Fallon, Missouri, where loved ones have gone missing. Family, friends have reported them missing, are able to provide a vehicle description and or a license plate number. Agencies are able to enter that information into the Flock system, again, so that if that vehicle passes by a camera in the community, officers are able to quickly locate those individuals and return them home safely. So when time is of the essence, in the situations of silver alerts, and this is an example of the first Amber Alert that Flock helped law enforcement with, in these developing critical incidents where, again, time is of the essence, having this alert, this ability to be alerted to the vehicles has proven just invaluable. So with that, I can pass it to Chief if I missed anything. Otherwise, I'm happy to help answer any questions.
Any questions?
I have probably a simple one to start with. She mentioned that it's only the back of the car that the picture is taken of. So then are there 2 cameras at each of these locations, or how does that work?
No, we one camera per location.
So how does it get the back of the camera? Cars
Just pick it
going
up one direction then.
Yep.
So maybe it's just me, but I'm not quite following. So a car passes by going toward the camera. How then does it get a picture of the back of the car?
Towards the camera, it wouldn't get a picture of the back of the car. And that's why cities technically try to put them on the egress and entrances of the city. So anytime somebody comes into the city, we're getting the rear license plate coming into the city.
Okay, so we're not capturing images of people leaving the city then?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? I have no questions.
I have no questions either. I mean, I think they're a great asset personally.
I had a statement.
Go ahead.
Can I make a statement? I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Inga for spending some extra time with me this past week to provide me with the state statutes, and then our internal policy and then auditing procedures, because that was one of the questions that I had was, how are we keeping track of where the data is going and who's requesting it? And so he was able to provide actually printouts for me to kind of put my mind at ease in the questions that I had. And then I had a question too for Chief Inga about the actual snapshot of the back of the car. Like, can you see my kids in the back window? Like, can you make out like people? And that you cannot. It is just simply the license plate at the back of the car. You can't tell who's in the car, who's driving the car. You wouldn't know if there were 15 people in the car. So that put my mind at ease, knowing that, this day and age, we're not small children in the back. Like, there's not a picture of that. It's just of the license plate. So I just wanted to say thank you for taking the extra time to meet with me and to provide those printouts because they were very helpful in kind of putting my mind at ease with the questions that I had.
I would agree.
sorry.
I'm sorry. I had a similar but separate meeting, open meeting rules probably, but was very good. And I did, of course, read through our policies, and I guess my main, it's not a concern, just that I want to make sure that we are following those audit procedures that are outlined in the policy and in the state statute. I think that's pretty important that we're doing that. And maybe we haven't had them live long enough to conduct that kind of audit yet, but I want to make sure that we are doing those things.
Yeah, we haven't had them basically into the years when all 7 of them went active. So we are implementing a audit trail within the police department as we speak. So we will be conducting weekly or bi-weekly audits on each system.
Meaning who's querying the system and then
what it's for, making
walking
sure
through
everything. Yep.
Okay.
I do have a question for Flock. Do you require multi-factor authentication?
It is by default.
Okay. So that's not, has that always been the case?
I'm not sure. I can ask our data team or our security team when that was implemented, but I don't know, and I can provide that information to Chief.
Okay. So I guess, where I'm at is that, well, quite frankly, your company has lied a lot about things, particularly about whether Border Patrol or ICE has access, which you did allow as a pilot program, and didn't communicate that. So agencies were unintentionally sharing information, and when asked repeatedly, you continued to deny it and there was finally enough evidence to force you to tell the truth about that. And of course, now the pilot program has ended. At the end of the day, you're a for-profit company, and so you are legally obligated to put the financial well-being of your stockholders above all else, including your customers, including the residents of the cities you serve. And I, quite frankly, don't trust you, and I never will. And any data that says that you guys do a good job comes from you. There's never been an actual third-party organization to find that ALPRs do anything. They have never been, it's inconclusive at best, or is just, basic, very weak relationship. So I am opposed to the flock cameras or any sort of system like this, and I would personally want to see them gone. And that's where I'm at, so.
Scott, do you have anything?
No.
Do you want to respond to that?
Sure. So with regard to the pilot programs, there was a lack of communication internally about that, and we regret any misinformation that it's certainly not intentional or made to mislead agencies. Since that pilot has ceased, we do not have a contract with Department of Homeland Security, ICE, CBP, any of DHS's sub-entities. We have also responded to communities and our customers wanting more robust federal protocols within the system. So we added the search filters, which agencies I had mentioned can enable to prohibit any searches related to immigration enforcement and or reproductive health for those purposes, because again, we do believe strongly that each community can utilize this tool in alignment with their values. And Flock is committed to supporting compliance and accountability and transparency measures. So I appreciate the feedback and again, the opportunity to share. And we are invested in, we know trust is earned, and we want to show that we're committed to supporting the use of this tool in every community.
Any other questions, comments? Why don't you come forward then? Yeah, well, no. Same thing, name and address, and then kind of,
Alyssa Senesco, 11980 for Brook Lane. I was actually part of the Minnesota Organized Retail Theft Prevention. I'm part of that committee, and so FLOC was brought in, and I really did think that it was there was a lot of good things, and like Chief Inga said, there's a lot of positive things. There's a lot more not positive things about it, and so because of my concerns, I am asking for clear answers of, like, does the city allow FLOC data to be shared with federal agents? Because it is technically your data, you can share it. Technically, it's also FLOC's data because they own it. So there's a lot of gray areas within that. And if you are sharing it, what is your written policy? Is a warrant required before federal access is granted? Are those searches logged and audited? You did talk about the audit system. So how is that going to look? Has federal agencies accessed our city's FLOC data in the last year? If that's something that we could have, put out there. The next question is make sure the FLOC policy and contract is public and available. Right now, there was a statement by Chief Inga. You have to dig and dig and dig through the City of Dayton's website to find that statement, which does not show me that that's transparency. And that's also concerning, because if you want your community to think that you are, having their best interests at heart, you should be transparent, and you should have your statement where it's readily you can find it. Clearly disclose whether federal agents have, access, under what conditions, and also she did talk on a lot of the things that I was already going to speak on. So I just think that it is, if you are going to go ahead with this FLOC, what's the budget? Are the HOAs, because they're already paying for them, are they double paying then because our tax dollars are paying for it? So how much is the budget? What is your policy going to be? The attorneys that have looked into the FLOC policies have found the loopholes that say different than what she just talked on. So that's something also that your attorney should probably be looking at before you go through and consider FLOC as your secondary backup for being short-staffed. Again, FLOC, yes, it was sold to me as a very good reason, to catch criminals, but also I think that there could be a lot of damage done if that is allowed.
Thank you. Christine, you want to respond to that? And then I think we can wrap it up.
I would just want to reiterate that the data is owned by Dayton, by the city of Dayton, 100%. Anything else is false. If we were to receive a subpoena for your information, again, as mentioned, we would notify you immediately and work with your city attorney on how the city would like to respond. As far as I can look and share information with Chief as far as if, and Chief may have your data sharing settings available as far as if you're sharing with any federal agencies currently. I don't have that right in front of me, but can certainly get that information over to you.
We currently are not sharing with any federal agency. All the agencies that have requested access is on our transparency page, the ones that we have allowed access to. There is no federal authorities that have access to our system at this time, and we don't plan on allowing them. And our budget for this is $21,000 annually. It's $3,000 per camera annually for maintenance, so $21,000 per year. And this, the HOAs are not contributing to this. This was all taxpayer dollars with the request from our Economic Development Authority, and that just got put on my plate to be the manager of it. So.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Maybe you want to, because I think part of her question was, have HOAs installed these in the city is somehow supporting that. And are you aware of any HOAs in Dayton that have installed these types of cameras?
Currently, I'm not aware of any of the homeowner associations that have installed the cameras. I know during neighborhood watch meetings, our detective Field Seth was out at the meetings giving the information to the homeowners association so they could make a determination if they wanted to purchase one through the HOAs. But we have not had any requests for purchases. And we do have a license plate reader policy in our department. We also are held by state statute, which is in the packet, both the policy and the state statutes in the packet that is available online.
I do want to just clarify one last statement. I definitely trust our Dayton police officers. My issue is not with our Dayton police officers misusing the system, but I'm basically being asked to trust that every single officer that we are sharing this data with will not do a private search for ICE, and they have been across the country. And I can't say that I trust every single police officer and every single agency we share with. And like I said, I don't trust Flock. So I just want to clarify, though, it's not, I absolutely trust our own Dayton Police Department, and I have no fear or concern that our police department would misuse this data. That is not my concern. It is all of the communities we neighbor with, that we share with, and there's a lot in this list, and the company itself.
Yep, and if during our audit process, when we start doing our biweekly audits, if we notice anything, we would automatically release that agency from being able to look it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I think we're good.
Oh, we got.
Oh, okay.
Keith Grover, 113th and Fernbrook. I do share some of the reservations of Counselor Van Asten. I'm not sure if I trust Flock. I understand how it can be a terrific asset to the police department, but I'm also skeptic about where that information is going and who's going to get it. I have a couple of questions. Do we have a city policy, a written policy, as it relates to Flock? Is it a publicly available policy?
Yes.
Was that what was referred to on the website? So if I want to go dig on the website, can I find that
It's in the
policy?
packet.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. My next question is, who in the city of Dayton allows access to the Flock data?
So when we get a request to share data,
Yeah, if you're looking for a missing kid, or if you're looking for a specific car, who in Dayton has the ability to access the data that's on the Flock?
all of our officers.
So any officer can do that? They don't have to go through you?
Correct.
Okay. You also mentioned that we're currently not sharing data with any governmental agencies. ICE seems to be the big one that's on people's mind. Does our policy prohibit us from sharing data with ICE?
No.
So who would make the decision to share the data with ICE? Any of the officers that have access to it?
Nope, I would. I review each of the agencies that request access to our data.
If I'm an ICE agent and I approach one of your officers and I tell them we're looking for this vehicle with this license plate number, does that officer have the ability to search that for the ICE agent?
He has the ability, but he won't.
Why won't he?
Because we don't allow federal access to the ICE system.
Is that on our policy that we don't allow that?
No.
Then maybe it should be, if that's what the hard rule is. I don't want any gray areas out there that's going to pin our residents against our police officers, because you guys got a hard enough job anyway doing what you do. I think you need to nail down
So
our policy.
Our policy and state statute requires a reason to run a query. If the reason was put in there for ICE investigation and it was found out, he could be subject to discipline, to termination, and even to criminal statutes.
But if our policy doesn't say he's prohibited from doing that, how are you going to discipline somebody for that? That's my point.
Because
That's
it's
why
an
I'm bringing
illegal
it up.
lookup. It would be an illegal lookup.
It's against statute.
40 years of writing contracts, I'm not sure that's clear in my mind, but I think you understand why I'm asking the question. And if the policy is available for everybody to look at, that was my other question, because I haven't seen anything, and nor have I heard anybody talking about it. So I'm glad that that's available for people to look at. There have been times that I wished that we had a system like that. There was a time when my mother, that was on the edge of dementia, left the farm, and we didn't know where she was for 5 hours. Your guys were looking for her, Champlin was looking for her, Brooklyn Park was looking for her. Thank God she finally found her way back home. There's another time when someone dear and close to us, a child, a handicapped child, was missing, and we didn't know where she was. We didn't know what direction she went. I think the system could have enabled you guys and the neighboring police departments to find that child sooner. But I think we really need to go into this with our eyes wide open and make sure we cover our bases all the way around. If there's a way to do an end run around a policy that's not written and ironclad with doors on all sides, someone will find a way to use it, like Sarah was talking about. I just think we really, really need to make sure that that policy covers our butt so that these guys don't get in a pinch. I don't want to see any of our good officers get caught up in that BS that's been going on in our state for the last 3 or 4 months. I really don't. They got enough things to do right here in Dayton without trying to chase ghosts around the city. But that's all the questions I have. Thanks. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Marcia Grover, 113-204 Brooklyn. I just have one question, and that is, what about the background? When these cameras are filming cars, and what if there's no cars coming? Is the camera motion detected like that? So it's on all the time? Is the camera on all the time, or just when a car goes by?
It's motion activated.
Yeah.
So what about the people in the background? I know there was a person in downtown Dayton that was saying that it was pointed towards their house. And they were concerned that people were going to be able to see them coming and going and out in the yard doing things. And no, the cameras are focused solely on the road and on the cars.
Focused on public roadways, yes. And the images that are retained are only the best images of vehicles, and then something beyond that, there is no way to search for a person within the system whatsoever.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. Do we own these cameras, or do we lease them? We pay a fee for them? I don't.
We pay an annual maintenance fee of $3,000.
Okay, but we don't own the cameras.
Can I get your name and address for the record?
Lee Hallquist, 11471 Fernbrook Lane.
Thank you.
How come she didn't have to give her address?
She did.
Okay. You should have that on file.
I will let Flack answer that question, because I just know we pay an annual fee of $3,000 for maintenance.
Okay.
Correct. So we own the hardware and we conduct maintenance on it. All of the data captured by the cameras is owned by the city.
Okay, and we have a contract for that data, is that what I understand?
Correct.
Can more than one person get a contract for the same cameras? Can ICE, in this example, also get a contract for the same cameras and then they own the same data?
No.
No.
So that data is exclusive to us?
Correct.
It can't be touched by anyone else?
Unless we share with them.
Yeah.
With
Well,
that
what
agency.
if, can Flock share it?
No,
saying no.
there's in the contract, it specifically outlines the only time that Flock would have to disclose your data would be if there was a valid court order or subpoena for that data. And in that instance, we would notify the city immediately.
Okay, and again, I just want to reaffirm that there's only one contract for each camera. One city contracts for we contract for the cameras in Dayton, and nobody else can contract on top of that for the same cameras?
Correct.
Okay, that answers my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
This was just a discussion, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can we move on.
We discussed
Okay.
it.
All right, item F.
Good evening, mayors and members of council. Tonight before you is a request to bid on a 100-foot 2008 Pierce Aero XT, excuse me, from currently owned by the city of Hopkins. Kind of review a little bit for those that are not familiar how we ended up here today. Back in November or December, if I recall, but actually it'll back up even further than that. About 18 months ago, I brought before the council a request to purchase a $2.5 million ladder from McQueen. And during that process, the reasons for that is obviously the same reasons that I have in here this evening, which is the second slide. So council had decided that they wanted to cancel that back in November. They also gave some direction to look for a used piece of apparatus. Took that opportunity. We happened to catch one that's nearby, and I believe is well maintained, which is the Hopkins ladder in the request before you. Again, it provides us with roof access, ventilation, elevated water streams to those large pieces of property that we have, residential and or commercial. We anticipate the expected bid price approximately $500,000 through a competitive process. That is the state of Minnesota's bidding site. They have over in Arden Hills, I believe, is that right off of 35W there, is where they process a lot of state other equipment. So that'll be placed on that for auction. Requesting, Zach and I had talked about this, $600,000. Are we locked in at $600,000? Are we asking to bid $600,000? No, we're not asking to bid $600,000. We're looking for latitude within whatever council's desire is, anticipating that it might be $500,000, but if it comes in at $525,000, is that something that's reasonable to the city council? Also, we do need to allow for funds for if there is any minor maintenance. Based on my review of the records, I don't see anything necessarily. However, tires are an issue sometimes. 10 tires at about $1,250 a piece, that can be around $12,000 or $13,000. And then we do need to get hose and some other required equipment that we do not have currently that we would need to outfit this piece of apparatus with. This ladder does offer us the ability to have the capability within the community and then also offer this to other communities, that mutual aid concept that we use to support one another within the fire service and our surrounding communities. And then also, like I said, it supports our multi-story and commercial buildings, reduces reliance on mutual aid for their ladders. We had a situation, not any fault of the organization that we requested mutual aid from, but it was missed by Hennepin County Dispatch. So there's a few things that provide us the ability to have this own service, especially as we continue to get other commercial structures. Obviously, Graco being one possibility of the apartments to the south. Even with 3-story apartments, we have difficulty because currently we have nothing more than a 24-foot ground mount. With that, I will open it up for questions, comments, concerns from council, and do my best to answer those.
Let's go first. I have a few questions, but I'll let
I do as
go ahead.
You provided a very detailed list of equipment that we would need to purchase.
Yes.
Is any of this, when we sold engine 11, we took equipment off of there. Is any of this able to be serviced by that equipment that we removed from that sale? Or if you can tell me no, we have to buy all new. I'm just wondering if there's anything we can reuse in this.
Whatever equipment, Councilmember Henderson, whatever equipment that we have, we would definitely reuse that equipment and put that on. Currently, for example, the big ticket items like radios, SCBAs, bottles, and so forth, we have that equipment. So we'd reuse that. The bigger thing that we don't currently have is, yes, we have extra hose. You'll see it out here in the bay. But there is a need for hose is probably one of the bigger things, you know, to the extent of a minimum of 600 feet of 5-inch. Cost of that, I don't exactly know. I'm going to say it might be $300-400, 100 feet. I could be way off on that. But there, yeah, to answer your question, anything that we have currently, we would definitely reuse on this truck.
Just not try to keep going, or
Yeah,
does somebody else have a question? I appreciated the zip file of the maintenance records, although I didn't get a chance to look too deeply into them. I know we did not receive them until later on. My concerns are if we've only had 28 hours to review those maintenance records, and they are a little sporadic. There are a couple things in there that kind of raised a red flag for me. Some of like the vacuum testing, there's a potential cost there to fix some valves that have not been repaired, but have been identified that they will eventually need to be repaired, and we just repaired valves on one of our other engines, and it was a huge cost. Huge meaning relative to 600,000, not huge, but those things could add up, especially if we don't know exactly which ones, because they did not identify which ones they actually were causing the issue or could potentially were showing signs of failure. Some of the other things that kind of concerned me there was one of the oil sample analysis showed that there was extra copper, and mechanical equipment doesn't self-heal. So like once it's going, it's going to continue to go. That was another thing that I did not, maybe I missed it. Again, we have only had 28 hours to really look at this. And those are just kind of the two that I had randomly opened. So I'm just wondering if maybe, okay, first question, sorry, I back up. When is the auction?
Councilmember Henderson, I don't know exactly in that capacity. They were going to a certain extent, give us some time to take a look at some things.
Okay.
They haven't given me an exact date of when it was going to go out there, but working with Chief Lenshaw and Hopkins, being that we're a neighbor and to a certain extent a mutual aid partner, they wanted to give us an opportunity to take a look at the stuff that was contained within what they provided.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate using, I want to say using that relationship, because it's not what I mean, but having that relationship where, you know, we do have those wonderful records. I'm just wondering from making a decision this large, and the two maintenance records that I opened showed what I think would be problems that I would like to know before we move forward. I'm wondering if, I'm 100% for us finding a ladder. I believe we need it. I'm 100% behind the department with that. But I'm just wondering if maybe we should take some more time to look through those records and kind of lay them out. Because again, we got, what is it, like 10 PDFs, I think, 10 documents?
Yep.
There's quite a few. And I personally would feel a little bit more secure about making this large of a purchase if we had looked through them and really identified, hey, if it is a valve, this is potentially what it could cost us. I don't want to get down the road and say, oh crap, like the writing was kind of on the wall and we missed it because we were kind of hurrying to no fault of your own because we didn't have the information. But that's my 2 cents. I don't know how anybody else feels, but.
Specifically regarding those documents, I caught those too. It talked about copper being found, high levels of copper, and copper doesn't just show up.
And that was in
And
2024,
then
so
the work
recent.
item didn't indicate a fix for that.
I believe that information was for the generator, if I recall.
Correct.
I think.
It was.
Well, Mayor and members of council, I'm happy to, so a little bit of history. We do a lot of our work with EAM, and that's fundamentally who services their truck or who's used to service their truck. We've had not had a specific discussion, but the recommendation has been given to me by Chief Renshaw to reach out to Luke at EAM, who we work with on a regular basis. I'm happy to get further information or a recommendation from him based upon if there's specific concerns that you see within the maintenance, to say, hey, this is what we anticipate it might cost as it wears out, or no, we don't necessarily think that there's an issue. So I'm happy to do that.
I think that would be super helpful to have that
Well,
recommendation.
there was a couple of them that, I think that was, to me, that was important. The one report said that there were valves close to needing replacement, but it didn't, it seemed odd to me that they found them close to the fail level and didn't fix them.
I did see in one of the reports, they did do some valve work, and
They
that
did.
did not, they did the test again, and that did not say, it wasn't the one that was
Yeah.
getting close to that fail point or the needing
So
to
it'd be
be.
nice to know that possible cost, like I said, the copper being found, that wasn't really addressed. There was also a stop engine light that shut up twice, and there was no, they couldn't get it to show up again, but it was a DPF light, and those aren't cheap. It'd be nice to know some information about that.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I did forget one thing,
Go ahead.
if I may. And then I just had one other question, because in here, you cited the NFPA 1901. I had a question if we were also going to make sure that we are compliant with NFPA 1911, which is like the frequency of inspections and those performance testings. I know that you can't, that book is huge, and you can't list them all in here, but I was making sure that we would be compliant with that, because we
Yeah,
are
so-
sorry.
No, sorry to interrupt.
No,
but,
it's okay.
From a maintenance perspective, there will be additional maintenance costs for this particular piece of apparatus. Just like other pieces of apparatus that need to be pump tested, this will need to pump test.
Yep.
This also is going to need to be ladder tested, non-destructive ladder testing to make sure that there's no cracks or welds in the ladder itself, obviously due to just age and over time. That has been done every year from their perspective. I know they also did, Councilman Slonk had mentioned earlier about the inspection. They've done that, can request those records. If I didn't see them in there either, I have to take a look and see, but they did, in theory.
Most
do
recent
it.
one was July of
Yeah,
last year.
they said that they have done one, I guess I need to follow up on that. So, like I said, we got the records later than, to council's point of trying to review some of that information. So, like I said, I'm happy to get that information without a doubt, so we can make an educated decision. My thing is, and Zach's request, if you will, is that this truck would last 10 years. Sure. I've told Zach, I said, I can probably give you 5, but, I mean, I don't know, we don't know, any of us in this room don't really know kind of what that looks like. But it is something that I think is a reasonable cost. Again, we're lucky, and so far we've been lucky, if you will, with the engine, or excuse me, the tanker that we purchased through McQueen. That's been an awesome truck, had 0 issues, and that's the hope that we would have with the purchase moving forward. So, like I said, I'm happy to do additional, get some additional information if there's anything specific. If you can get those to me or to Zach, I'm happy to ask those questions.
I think it would be important to have that survey done, independently. I mean, maybe it's the same company, but on our behalf.
Sure.
Because I think it could affect how much we're willing to bid for this, depending on what the repair bill is going to be like to bring it up to these standards and your own standards as a department. Kind of know that whole package. Overall, I didn't find anything that scared me off from it, certainly. And I'm curious, is this a live auction or is this done over the internet?
So it appears to be, what I can tell, is it's like a live auction, at least what Zach and I have seen there, where it's posted for a period of days, and then it says the current amount is X, and then I'm assuming, like any other auction, that there is a bid minimum somewhere in there. So it's not going to go for $1, if you will. Obviously, we don't know what that bid minimum is. I will say that I'm not going to, Zach and I would not start at $500,000. I always believe just to start lower than that if it's acceptable, from the auction site. So yeah, I don't have specifics of when I just know that February 13th, I believe the city of Hopkins needed surplus equipment so they could put it out there. And then they kind of started working through those motions. And then having that relationship with Hopkins was able to get us probably more information than if we were to buy this from the third party that we used to sell one of our trucks. I can't remember the name of the company. Out of Alabama. Brindley Mountain.
How will we know when the auction is occurring? Will our connections let us know? Is it that we just said we're interested in this piece of equipment? Like how does that process work? I'm just wanting to make sure that while we're gathering this information that we don't miss our opportunity, because again, like I really feel like nothing has scared me away. Like this is, I don't want to say exciting, but it is, because we need this piece of equipment. But I just don't want to miss the chance while we've now sent you back to go and get more information. I just want to make sure that we're not pushing that too far.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I do know in talking to Chief Lonshaw, they're looking April and May. Okay, so I think there's that opportunity to ask those questions. I don't think that's like, hey, we need to do this tomorrow. My understanding and my discussion, and just to give some feedback or history on why they're getting rid of it, they've accepted a SAFER grant from the feds to fund full-time staff. And it sounds as though that this will help fund that full-time staff until they're able to maybe levy for it and so forth over the next couple of years. So they're looking to get that, that's the reason for the sale.
And they have two ladders,
They
right?
do, correct.
Councilmember Fashion, so it's technically not a live auction, although it's live in time, it's actually online. So live auction, we don't actually go in place and put up a number and say, hey, I got a number. It's just online, you click the button and then you bid it. So
Everybody
it is,
sees the bid.
yeah, it is live, it's on, so we do know what website it is, so we can check. They don't run for a week, they normally run for, I think it's either 14 or 28 days, I think they start off with, so we do have some time to be able to discuss this. And it was on the, and I apologize, I maybe didn't touch base with the chief, like, this was a discussion item, because I figured there would be more information needed. If we can get the authorization, great, it's fantastic to have that ability, but it was put as a discussion item, not as an action item, because I figured there would need to be discussion on a used item if we're gonna make a big purchase like this again. Do want to understand that the council may have questions about stuff that we don't have the answers for, and so it's good to get a discussion item on before you're getting an authorization for it. And I did not touch base with the chief on that, so I take blame on communicating with the chief on that before.
First off, was it ever evaluated?
What do you mean? Sorry.
This piece of equipment. Anybody ever look at it and say, here's an approximate value?
I don't know if they can do that, Chief. I don't know if they can. So when we purchased the last one from McQueen, we just asked them, okay, what are you going to put it up for sale for, when we had heard about it from the city of Farmington, and they said, here's what we're going to put it up for. I don't know if we ever got a second opinion on the dollar amount.
No,
Okay, so it's,
yeah.
there's no state statute requiring it to justify a purchase. So my second question is, normally when we do this with other property where there's a competitive thing, it's done in closed meeting, so that
We don't give our position
so
away?
that we don't give our position away. Why? Because right now, I mean, if we approve this, it's pretty clear where somebody else bidding against this has to go to.
I don't know how to do it. The negotiation part could be done in a closed meeting, but at some point you guys have to give us a number and some information of you're okay with us approving it. And so it needs to be transparent with, okay, here's the number we have. I don't know, and maybe I can work with the attorney on, okay, what are we comfortable with doing if it's, if we can talk about it in a closed session and then approve it at a council meeting. I don't know how that all works in the terms of what's negotiation, what's talk, and then what's actual approval. It's no different than what we did when we purchased that property on North Diamond Lake Road. It was a closed meeting discussion about the number, but then when we went to open meeting, it was, here's the number we're paying for, here's the amount that we paid.
Right,
So-
but that's after.
But that was
That was
After the fact.
it was after it was accepted. However, this one is a little different because it's a bid process, so I can't do that same process this way because I don't have a purchase price to go, hey, this is what we're gonna buy it for, and then
No,
bring it
but-
back to council.
But it's not a sealed bid.
It's, right.
It is not a sealed bid. It is a ongoing auction of a
Right.
countdown, no different than you go to Auction Masters and want to buy a whatever.
I bid 1,000, you bid 1,100.
You got it.
Right.
Yep, you got it.
1101.
I would think we.
Yeah. So I'm happy to have a closed meeting discussion on items and not trying to say that we shouldn't or should. It's just a little different. We've never had to actually physically bid on an item. We've had to come up with a dollar amount, and we've done that, and we've had those discussions, but not It's the first one for bidding, so.
So this comes into the same arena then, but we do have a gap with funds we have available.
We do.
And obviously we need information and probably discussion around how we're filling that gap.
Sure. Yeah, I did provide that in a weekly update a few weeks ago of like, here's some ideas. I'm happy to discuss more if the council wants to discuss certain funds they'd like to pull money from or be able to identify what we're looking for funding sources. Again, discussion overall, I figured would relate more on the ladder truck. Doesn't mean that I can't go on finances too. I'm available and ready to go for conversation if that's the case, but we do have already levied dollars of $240,000, and so we have that established, ready to go. We don't have that today. That'll be levied and received in July and in December of this year. So they aren't visibly like here right now, but we get them this year. And then of the 240, 140 of that is coming this year, and then the rest it needs to come from another source of whatever that may be.
So I have some logistic questions. First, as long as we know how much, I would like to have a total bill of how much it will cost us to get it where we need it to go, so that we can say, this is our total price. So as long as everything is within the total price, we're good, and if it's over that, then whatever. And obviously, we don't have that answer today, but that's what I would love. Second, logistically, I kind of agree with the mayor. If this is a bid that other people can be bidding, and they know that, I'm just making up a number, our max is 400,000. We're not going to go higher than that. Then a neighboring city can be like, well, we're going to do 450, and then we're going to get it, and Dayton's out, right? So like, I feel like that. If you can ask our lawyer if we can do that number part prior to the bidding process, and then at an open meeting after we have either gotten it or not gotten it, disclose it. Sure. But yeah, I like you said, we've never done this before, so that's a logistic question I have on that end. And then on the other side of logistics, if we don't know when the auction is, but whatever happens, and we get it, and we know we have this money, but it's not here yet. Like, how does that work? Like, how do we go to our savings account to pay for it now, and then we'll figure it out?
We've got money. We've got money.
So it's a little more complicated than we just have money, because we don't just have money. I try to do as aggressively as I can, try to earn as much interest for the city as possible. So I am investing in fixed asset or income items, typically CDs, bonds that have a maturity date. So if we pull money early, so let's say the council decides next year we're going to, and sure, we have the money. We have $32.5 million in investments, give or take. And so if the council said next year, hey, we're going to spend $5 million on the roadways. Yeah. I don't have $5 million to be able to use. I have those as investments laddered out based on the long-term plan of when we're projecting on doing those projects. So yes, we have the money, but if we pull it early, no different than in anyone else's personal security.
Liquid.
Now, it's not liquid. Yeah, it's not liquid cash. I think we have roughly $3 million of liquid cash in our savings account. Yeah. So we have ability to fluctuate back and forth, and most of it's held in a money market account, so it's earning 3.56%, something like that. Okay. And so it's available to get grabbed early if we needed to, and I leave some money in there at all times, because when a big check comes out or something happens, we have to be, I still have to be able to operate the city.
Yeah.
And
you have to pay our bills.
If I pull an investment early and we lose $50,000, I can guarantee you all look at me going, what the heck are you doing, Zach? You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I do leave a little bit of cushion in there to be able to say if something comes up, whatever, than this, that we're able to fund it without causing a ripple effect of lost income for the city overall.
So I guess that was my question is, if we say, yes, we're okay with this at X dollar amount, which hopefully we can negotiate privately, even if we have not exactly figured out where it's going to come from, that would not prevent you from going ahead and saying, yes, at the auction, we can get it, we can pay our bills, and then a meeting or two later, we can still figure out exactly how we're going to pull all that money together.
So we have what we call pooled cash. I think I've mentioned this to a couple of councilors before, and maybe I hadn't mentioned to everybody. So we do have pooled cash. So we have one bank account for all the funds, and they have an allocation of that cash.
Got it.
And so technically it's one bank account, so there is money in there, but one fund might be negative for a temporary time frame, one might be positive. And so in total, they all add up to the same
Got it,
one
yeah.
number.
Okay, thank you, those are my logistic questions.
That's
Okay,
good questions.
I don't have, as long as we have a total, this is how much it will cost total, and that's a number we can make, I'm happy with this. But I would also like to see if we can get the actual number in a closed meeting.
Yep.
If this is a bid open to, like, if it was just us and Hopkins, that's different things, but.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I just don't know logistically how that would work.
Not that I think Rogers is gonna do it, but I
We
want
could-
Rogers
we
to
could
hear the
try. We
meeting and
could
be like,
figure out.
haha, we will get in there and sneak in $50,000 or something.
So, Councilman Van Assen, just to confirm or reiterate what you're looking for, so for all of council, I will get answers if you guys have any other additional questions as it relates to the maintenance items. And then you're also looking for roughly what is the additional cost that it will cost us to outfit the truck appropriately, and then that's our number.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's where I'm at,
Fair
that's my
enough.
number.
Okay.
The only
Just to add
comments-
to that, I'm sorry, Scott.
Go ahead.
That, you know, if you're not, I would hope that you will be working on a training plan for, you know, it sounds like, I mean, this is several years ahead of our original schedule with the new truck. So that's not my sticking point, but it would feel bad if we end up having a truck that nobody's qualified to run.
Councilmember Fashant, so myself and Chief Astrup have come up with that plan. We're looking to have a third party come in, and the Minnesota Board of Firefighter Certifications, I'm not saying that correctly, but State Certification Board, has a state certification for aerial operator use. So our intent is to have them come in, if we were to get this, implement it here over the summertime to get everyone trained on that and certified on the ladder.
All right, great, and I appreciate that. Obviously, it's necessary, and I just want that to be a part of the whole package. If there's a cost for that, if that can be included with the, you know, additional equipment and hoses that you mentioned that we
Sure.
would need, the cost of that outside training, I think wrap it all up in one pie,
Okay.
and then we can look at it all at the same time.
If that's through the fire board, can we go back and ask for funds, like the refund back for
Yes.
that as well, like we do with firefighter 1, 2, and hazmat?
That is correct.
Right?
So,
Those are
yep,
the
we
three?
can do that. Annually, Zach has this magical number that he puts in his back pocket, so to speak, and that's his expectation that, in theory, what we get reimbursed from the Fire Certification Board. So we always, or I always ask for, I go through and I audit all of our training throughout the year. And the last 2, 3 years, whatever I've been here, we've received more because it's been reallocated from other agencies that have not used their funds. So often, a lot of our classes are covered by those additional funds that are out there.
Yeah, great question, Councilmember Henderson, is that, yeah, we do try to get as much reimbursement back as possible for training dollars. We do allocate, I make the chief get $20,000 back in reimbursement every year. That's my magical number to him, and I say everything above and beyond that you can put back into your budget, so it incentivizes him to do a little more than just get the budget number, is to try to get as much back. But I think historically, the last 3 years since the chief has been here, we've gotten at least $25,000 each year, if not more, in reimbursement. One item I do want to make sure is addressed too, as it was brought to my attention, and I want to address the question that was asked to me, is, okay, this ladder truck does fit. It's something that the chief and I talked about. Does it fit? We did look at that overall with the layout, provided that to council, because I think it's important to know that we're not looking at another facility. That's another big question that's had. We also know that there's an engine tender that's coming down the line as well. And so I did talk with the chief a little bit about what are we doing with that engine tender. If we get that engine tender, now you are out of space, and the space is within the confines of our area. What are we doing with that engine tender? And his answer is, well, I'd like to keep as many things as possible. I think it's important to know that the tanker is a hugely important asset to us. The engine tender will essentially replace that tanker, and the intended use of that tanker was to only be here during the time we didn't have the engine tender. However, as the 2 years since we've purchased that have happened, I've learned that Anoka Champlin got rid of their tanker. Maple Grove is down to a single tanker, which is very, very small. And Rogers has one, I think, that's what he meant. Right. And so our tanker abilities are less and less, and we do have a lot of space left to develop. There's no way we're going to be all hydrated, I hate that word, by the time in 40 years or something. It's going to be a long, long time. So we do have to figure out a way to hold on, or we'd like to hold on to that tanker if we can and find a spot for it. So that is something that I did talk with the chief about, I think it was yesterday, and said, hey, we need to figure out where's that gonna go if we're gonna get the engine tender, where is that next space? 'Cause we cannot count on some other facility, we have to be able to fund all of them and make them work. So that's something that staff needs to do as well, as part of our discussion items, is where are we putting the tanker? If the ladder truck is purchased, where are we putting that tanker to be able to still utilize, while also not, requiring us to put up another facility for that thing, so.
The additional to that, obviously, we're moving into our favorite season, all of us in here is budget, especially Councilwoman Solonics. But as we move forward, the request will be coming at some point, maybe not this year, but probably early next year, to replace engine 21. So my intent is, just to kind of forecast and give information in advance, is to replace engine 21 with the same engine tender that we purchased for, currently it's slated for Station 1, more than likely it's going to probably go here, but the same same type of equipment, because as Zach alluded to, is the community's going to need that additional water for some time. And at that point in time, once that was approved, if you will, then that could be something we can look at, where we have 2,500 gallons of water in each truck from each side. Then we could look at reselling that piece of equipment. Even at that point, I think there's potentially a need, because we are waiting longer and longer for communities to come and help with auto aid or mutual aid. We've made some agreements, verbal agreements with those to the northeast. So East Bethel, over off of 65, and that, the Rum River Fire District, as it's called today. And then we continue to have to go to the west to get people, because we don't have our neighbors immediately around us that, as Zach alluded to, have current tenders or tankers.
Yeah, there are conversations happening additional to this that I want to make sure the council understands, that it's not just, yep, everything's good to go. We are still having conversations of what that looks like, and the chief and I will have more conversations over the next 2 weeks about what does that look like as well. So hopefully we can provide back information. And if the answer is we need to remove the tanker, we'll remove the tanker and figure that out, because that was the original plan. So keep moving forward.
Scott, did you have something else?
My only comments are, I got answers on the bid process. In some of them testing documents, it did, am I correct that there's somewhere between 12 and 13,000 miles in this rig?
That is correct.
And there is a company that does give you an appraisal on fire equipment. And a while back when you first brought this up, Gary, you had stated you and Kevin were going to go and look at this unit. Have you done that?
We did, yep.
Well, then you would know if it needs tires.
Honestly, I didn't look at the tires at that time, to be honest, so the biggest thing with tires, though, too, is not just what they look like. It goes back to the fire services. Anything greater than 10 years, I have to replace.
Right.
So I don't really know.
That's any tire if you go to Discount Tire.
Yeah. I have no idea what the age of the tires are, but tread-wise, I'm sure.
They're still good, tread-wise. Okay. I'm also in favor of, I see the need for the ladder. I mean, we can even use it on house fires. Whether or not this is the right rig, I'm not sold there yet. So hopefully you better be looking for a plan B.
Zach and I talked about this, and I'll bring this up just from my perspective. This isn't Gary wanting to buy something brand new.
No, I'm not saying brand new.
No, but if you...
We've already been down that road.
Yep, no, but here's my thought process, and this is just my thought process, and we can't afford it, I respect that. The reality is, I think we're kicking the can down the road by not buying the new ladder that we're looking at. I can't guarantee how long this ladder is going to last. We had a purchase agreement, if you will, for 2.5 or 2.3 or whatever it was. And now we look, Zach's numbers, and I don't disagree, I'd like to, if we can get it, last 10 years, awesome. It's not always going to be the first truck out the door by any shape of imagination. It'll have some limited use. Obviously, it doesn't need to go on grass fires and so forth. But we're going to purchase, assume that we're able to get this for whatever the price is. Now we spent that along with any maintenance items. And now when we do need to replace, so as soon as we buy this, we need to put something in place for capital improvement over time. Does that say 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever is the council wants to put aside, to incrementally pay for that over 10 years if we use that number. Now that number, instead of being 2.5, is probably whatever we pay for the current ladder, and now we're close to 4 million. So it just depends on how you look at it. I just bring it up for more of a case in point, whatever, but I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, we should be saving money for everything we buy. I don't disagree.
All right, any other comments? Okay,
Mayor and Council, this will be back to likely the 24th if we can get enough information.
That would be great.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Item G.
All right. Mayor's members of council, if you recall, back in November-ish timeframe, I think, we looked at removing allergic reaction, ill person, lift assist, pain, medical alarm, and down unknown problem. With the establishment of our duty crew, my request is to add back those calls to help us, being that we are going to be here during those duty crew hours. There is some numbers within the document that sits in your council packet that are inaccurate. One being on the, where it says January 26th, January and February, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then instead of that saying 8, it should have said 3 calls, because if you add the numbers up, it doesn't add up to 75. And then on the second page, where it says from October 24th through February 28th, 2026, department successfully handled 88 calls. Those numbers were numbers that when I was initially putting this together, I wasn't able to get all the specific information I wanted, specific to the hours that duty crew had run. I worked with Echo Data to fine tune those numbers. Hence, that's the numbers that you see in front of you now. 75 calls during that time frame, so roughly 17 months of data, equals about 4.41 calls roughly per month that we'd be adding back in, only during the time that the station is staffed. I guess I stand for any questions.
Let's go.
I have a
Go ahead.
Always me. Thinking back to last year when we did that call reduction, I thought we only reduced the severity 1 through 3. Or am I incorrect and we did 1 through 4?
Yep, yeah. Councilmember Henderson, I went back and reviewed the minutes and reviewed the tape, and it was 1 through 4 that was approved. And so that would include
Okay.
the down unknown, and that also would include dizzy, faint, and mental health behavioral, which was not listed on the 2, so.
I'm gonna push back on you. It's only dizzy, faint, and mental health is only 4.
Yes, that's the only 2, yep.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
only
additional
2.
to the other
The other
1 through 3 that were listed on the
Correct.
staff report. They're listed on the screen. Slide, that's the word.
Something over there.
Over
Okay,
there.
so and again,
It was
there's
1 through
room
4
for me to
that
be
was-
wrong, but I was like, I thought it was 1 through 3.
1 through,
Okay.
1 through 4 was approved as a reduction.
The other question I have is if we are going to be adding these calls back in, will we be referring residents that we are making these calls to Care Resource Connections? Will we be reestablishing our partnership with them? Because I think the ultimate goal is to provide our citizens with the help that they need. And so I believe the police department is currently working with Care Resource Connections. Is there room for us to go back to more of that partnership style that we were going to do with the fire department as well, giving referrals? Because again, it's about giving the resources that these residents need, not necessarily about anything, like that's the main goal.
Currently, we have our embedded social worker that we've been working with any additional calls. So if we continue to get like pain calls, lift assists at a residence, we'll refer them to our embedded social worker that provides them with the resources they need.
So we have terminated our relationship with Care Resource Connections? When did we do that?
That was, so there was a conversation that was had with Care Resources back in December, based on the change of the council and moving the call changes away, that if, at this time, if the police department is doing those calls, we have an embedded social worker that does the exact same work. There's no reason to double up the work of the police department.
Push back at you and say it is not the same work, but
So that's what
okay.
that's what the direction was at this time. And I said, at this time, we want to figure out where we're at and how much work is being done. Can we reallocate the social worker's time to be able to add that back into the residents? And then we would reanalyze it at the middle of the year. And that was when I left the conversation with Care Resources.
So if we change this, though, then are we going to reanalyze that
And
decision?
we may have to.
I would like to personally.
From what I heard from the presentation, it sounds like they were very beneficial. So, well, it seems like something that I think we should look at again if we're going to reinstall these calls. Because yes. We'll leave it at that.
I have a pushback kind of question. So that's a conversation that you had with
Correct.
Care Resource Connections.
Yep, with the two chiefs as well, yep. I had the conversation, the two chiefs had talked to me beforehand about, here's what we're gonna do, here's what the plan is, if that's what we're gonna do for call types. There's no reason that our embedded social worker, who again can do similar work, maybe not the same exact work, but it's similar work, can do, why would we pay for two resources that do the exact same thing, at least from what I understood. And so I had a conversation with Care Resources, and I said, let's understand where the embedded social worker is at, so that we can understand how much work or not work we have additional to that, so that we can say, here's what we need help with, here's what we don't need help with, for the middle of the year, so that we can put a pause on it and say, here's where we're at, and do we need help anymore? I don't know.
Does that then mean that we have pulled out of Dayton's representation with the other, like within Hennepin County, and as far as like the blueprint on aging, are we not part of that anymore then?
That, with the termination of the contract, that is my understanding.
Oh.
Yep.
I feel like that's maybe something that we should have talked, I don't know, maybe that's an overstep, maybe that's operations, and then I don't know. I see the value, and I think that I personally would like to revisit it, because I see the value that it brings to our aging population in multiple areas. So, and I don't know how anyone else feels about that, but if we're gonna add these calls back in, and it really seemed like from the data that I saw that they were making a difference in actually getting the resources that residents, and I haven't seen the embedded social workers resources or anything, but I would like to revisit, I'd like the council to revisit it and to make that determination of where we want to put those resources.
So, yeah, Mayor and Council, like I said, the idea was to analyze where we're at in the middle of the year. This is what was communicated with Care Resources as well. It was not hidden that we're trying to get rid of Care Resources. That is not the goal. It is to understand how much work is needed and how much can the embedded social worker help us with this process. If the police department is doing those calls, I do not disagree that it may need to be adjusted now if we're going to add back in those calls at this time. That might need to be a conversation we have if the fire department is going to be running them again. Is that something we want the embedded social worker doing with the fire department and with the police department, with other things going on? Or if that's something where, again, Care Resources needs to be brought back in, I don't know that answer.
Can we have this embedded social worker I don't know what services that they offer.
It'd be nice to know, yeah, what that overlap is, I guess.
Correct, and it'd be nice to hear maybe from both, because I think there's a lot of other benefits that we did not either know about, talk about, or take advantage of with Care Resource Connections.
Sure.
Personally, I mean, having conversations with them, that's my understanding. And I don't know exactly what the role of our embedded social worker is, and I would like to know more, I think, about what both provide.
Is that something that the embedded social worker will be able to do, Chief?
If that's council direction, yeah.
Okay, yep, sounds good. We'll have something on a future council meeting then for council to have in front of you for the embedded social worker, so you better understand what that role is, and how that handles within the city.
In terms of this specific request, I'm fine. I mean, if we're paying the duty crew to be here, I would like them to go to calls. It's kind of my like, we're paying you to be here, and there's a call, then you should go to the call, is my view. So as far as what's in front of us here, yeah, if we've got people here, we're paying to be here, then they should go to calls. So I'm fine with this. As far as the embedded social worker and the Care Resources connection, I don't know enough about what what, like, as they said, where the overlap is, where the difference is, and I would need to know more before I have an opinion on that one. So I was just looking at this and I thought, yes, if we're paying people to sit here, I would like them to go to calls. So,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I was kind of surprised at how little it had an impact, though. I would have thought it would have resulted in a lot more calls being reduced, so I kind of wonder.
Not reduced during daytime, but the analysis that I did showed that most of those were coming out weekend and evening, but we have medical team, or we have overnight response teams, I don't know what you're calling them.
Yeah, overnight medical response teams.
There we go.
Again, lack of better terms, duty crew from home.
Yeah.
And we've actually, they're on a 7-week rotation, so firefighters participate once every 7 weeks during that rotation. And I don't want to say it because then the pager go off. But it's been, and I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
We have not. Yeah, so it's worked well. You know, I guess a little glimpse into the future too, as long as we're, you know, you had asked kind of a little bit of insight of possibly, I'm looking potentially, depending on how things go, to maybe extend duty crew for next time from a budgetary item. So just kind of, you know, if you have questions or whatever, future, so.
Okay, any other questions, concerns?
Gary, you're
No,
gonna
I
have the
think it's-
capability so that at 10 PM when the duty crew is gone, then all of a sudden, police department handles that call?
Yeah, I mean, often now.
It's gonna be a different tone at 10 o'clock?
Yeah, so we are, to better answer your question, Councilmember Solonic, is that yes, we've worked with Hennepin County Dispatch. They have an all-call tone, and then we have a duty crew tone. So the duty crew tone will be utilized just during duty crew hours. Well, and then there could be an all-call tone that would come out. So if the all-call tone comes out during duty crew, this is where, hey, we got to fire a significant event. We need all hands on deck, so to speak. So yes, eventually, down the road, we will probably add a Station 1 tone and a Station 2 tone. So we can really segment it even further, should we need to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think so. I hope it works out that way. I mean, that answer was an all-call or duty call. So at 10:30, it'll be an all-call.
It'll be an all-call currently for our, at least right now, so just clarification as well. So duty crew, or our overnight duty crew is operational Sunday night through Friday morning. So those are, we have them staffed, they're on that rotation once every 7 weeks. There is, and I think we discussed this a little bit in the past, is that we do need to look towards weekends. We do run thin on weekends, and there is a fair amount of calls on weekends. However, currently, we're trying to incrementally, obviously from a budgetary perspective as well as from a personnel perspective, trying to let this kind of soak in and people don't know what they don't know type thing. Not too much change at one time.
Okay.
And it'll be an all-call for the limited types.
Yes.
Yep.
For these
To where my point was, is police department would handle that, not you.
That is true,
Yes.
yes. In off hours, law enforcement would take that. Now, full disclosure, law enforcement often has to call us for some of these, lift assist being
Yeah.
one, just because of, depending on patient dependency or, you know, whatever, availability of law enforcement.
Right.
That would have been, I'm fine with this, but that would have been interesting to know how many times the police department has called like how many times has that happened where the police department has called fire out for these types? I'm fine with moving forward with that. I'm just thinking like ahead, like things that like I would like to see if, in the future.
So I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to
I'll
approve.
second.
Any more questions, discussion?
Just one question. You're gonna have a schedule pretty soon, right?
The schedule as
For your duty crew guys?
for like, just
What the hours are gonna be?
So just to clarify, like I said, this is where we get, we have paid on call staff and part-time staff. Both are
Right.
impacted by duty crew. Just want to better understand, I understand what schedule you're looking for.
When your paid part-time guys they're gonna handle
Yep.
I think from 10 to 10 or something like that.
So what's been established with the organization, Councilmember Slonick, is that our duty crew members, well, I have to re-say that, our part-time members, that we just provided conditional offers to, their core hours are from 10 in the morning until 6 p.m. Now, and then we offer, or what we're working with the organization on is that we said, hey, we talked about the 20 hours. So that's 2 shifts of duty crew for our paid-on-call members, plus their training, plus 3 or 4 all-calls encompasses roughly that 20 hours. What we've done, though, this now, is we've told paid-on-call, I still struggle with it, paid-on-call that you need to work 1 shift a month. You can give away 1 shift if you choose. We believe the reason we did that is the 8 people that are coming in, I sat down with, after we did our initial interviews and then after they did their physical agilities, to get an understanding of how many hours they're looking for. My concern is this, is that I don't want to offer, hey, I only got 4 hours for you to come and you're driving from wherever you're going to come. They may or may not be interested in that. So a majority of them, a lot of them are interested in more hours than we can provide currently. It doesn't mean that they're not going to not come, but they would like 30 hours a week. Can't provide 30 hours a week necessarily, but, so we see a lot of it more than likely. Their core hours, as I told them, 10 to 6. They can be here 10 to 10, as long as there's that opportunity, because we're going to also offer that 6 to 10 is going to be for pay-on-call to fill in first.
Okay. This is one of them things I think before you present the program to the department, maybe council could have known what the plan was going to be as far as what kind of hours you were what shifts you were going to have.
Well, I think we discussed this before, Scott, in the fact of 10 to 10.
Yeah. I think there could have been better communication on that issue, though.
Sure.
So.
We didn't have any of our current firefighters that were interested in taking any of those 10 to 6 shifts?
I've heard from one that maybe. So there is a policy that, or a procedure, not a policy, procedure that we put in that states that they do have the ability to elect if they choose to participate in that program. Now, the danger of that, obviously, is that we need to have a good balance of what that looks like. We can't have too many. So if you're currently in the department, if you wanted to switch to the duty crew or a part-time model, you would have that opportunity. We put in there rough numbers, I think, if, and granted this year will be a little wonky from the fact that we're starting in June, but they would have to let us know probably by, ideally probably more from, just from a scheduling perspective, probably by September. Because what we're trying to do with people and everyone, so for scheduling purposes, is this, is that let's assume that, we'll talk January. January 1 would be when we would start duty crew. So then we are going to back that up 3 months or 90 days. So by the end of September, they would, by October 1st, they would know what their schedule is for January 1. That gives them the ability, regardless if it's part-time or paid on call, to trade shifts, cover shifts. We know that sick is going to come up. The other thing that we've changed as well is that instead of a measurement period of a monthly basis, where you have 36 hours that we told them that our part-time staff needed to do, we've expanded that to a quarterly. So in a quarter, their measurement is 108 hours. Because if somebody on the part-time side wanted to go on vacation for 2 weeks, it's going to be difficult for them to get their 36 hours in that month. So we want to look at a broader perspective. So some of these things we're working through as we move through the program and trying to come up with things that holistically balance it out and are equitable to both staff, part-time and paid on call.
Just for clarification, what is the concern if you had let's call them, somebody that's currently on the department that wanted to take some of those 6 to 10 shifts? Like what is, or 10 to 6? What is the concern that they wouldn't then make their 6 to 10 shifts? So they took the 10 to 6 shift, that they wouldn't be making the 6 to 10 and you wouldn't have enough coverage there? Like why not allow them to pick up the day shifts as well?
Just based on kind of trying to figure out hours when we're going to hire part-time and the paid on call. We have nobody, we've had one that's come forward, like I said, and say that they might be interested in that program. But the bigger thing is that assume that you want to be part-time. There isn't a requirement to do all calls. And so we get into this inequity of we need people when that pager goes off to come back. And to expect that somebody that lives on the other side of town to come back, we'll welcome them back to help out. Fundamentally, it might be the cleanup, because that's always a big chore. But initial response lays on the fact of those that live nearby or close.
Okay.
And it's a balance. It's difficult to try to figure out kind of what that looks like as we kind of move forward. I think part of it is those that aren't familiar with a duty crew program, they don't know what they don't know. And my belief is this is what's going to happen. Is a lot more people are going to become interested in it. Hence, that's why I'm looking to the future to add to cover more coverage with crews that are here, if that makes sense, for adding duty crew on weekends.
So we have a
from my
motion and a
perspective,
second, don't we? Do we vote?
We're still discussing.
Okay.
I guess from my perspective, I'm fine with the changes in the types of calls that are being requested, as Sarah and others have mentioned. Obviously, if we have people here that can respond to those calls, they should. When we made the last change, at least I fully expected that we were planting a flag somewhere, and that as operationally you gained experience with this, you would need to make adjustments, and this would be one. I feel the same way about the scheduling of the new, and I'll get this wrong too, but I'm going to say you confuse me.
That's okay. It's confusing.
That the new part-time people covering essentially the day shifts, we don't have experience with that, right? The paid-on-call firefighters don't have a lot of experience with the duty crew model and the overnight medical things. And I think there's going to continue need to be adjustments as time goes along, and data supports making those kind of changes operationally. I hope that at some point we get to the point where we're not working on your schedule. I don't think that's where our time is best spent, and I understand why we're kind of into the weeds on some of this stuff, but I hope that at some point we can get out of this. That's my comments.
Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. And we are on to item H.
Mayor, members of council, we have payment of claims in front of you. If you have any questions, comments, same for any questions.
Anybody? I have a few comments, but I can wait.
I had a question and then I lost it. Just had it. Minnesota Department of Health, $12,640 for Minnesota Connect fee. I just wanted to know what that was.
Yep. Councilmember Van Assen, that is our charge that we charge the residents every single month to have a connect fee to the water system. We have to pay a fee to the Minnesota Department of Health to appease them, and so it's a small fee. I think it's like $4 a year. It just went up to like 12 some odd dollars a year now, so it's a monthly fee that we charge, and then we hold on to it for the year and then make one annual payment.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Oh, I had two. Because I know Marty's bored over there.
I wasn't that bold.
On page 73, there was a charge for a magnetic drill kit for $3,138. Do we use this a lot? That's a pretty expensive drill.
Yeah, it's used in the welding department. It's for drilling before they weld stuff. We do a lot of fabrication now, so it's a safe way of drilling on a bigger sheet of metal rather than taking it over to the drill press and doing it that way. You just put the magnetic drill over the hole you're trying to drill, and it does it right there. So if you've got multiple holes to drill on one sheet, it's an economic and good way of doing it. So the more fabrication projects that we've got, the more use this is going to get.
What thick of metal are we talking about?
Sorry?
What is the, I mean, what?
It's magnetic.
No,
so you mark your
but-
holes out that you drill in.
Yeah.
It clamps down, the magnet attaches to the metal plate.
Yeah.
And then it's just like a drill press from there on in.
Okay. It's 30 grand. That I guess that really hooked me.
$3 grand.
$3 grand, yeah.
$3 grand.
It just seemed like, it just seemed, I got two other numbers.
Getting the 10 back.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it makes sense, but.
The other one I wanted to ask about was on page 90, and this is for the fire department. There's some custom embroidered stools for $5,000. I'm only going on the description that we got.
Yeah, they label them as, so truth be told, there are more than 3 custom, there are 3 recliners and then 3 stools that were purchased from Firehouse Furniture. They're very durable. They have a 5 or 8 year warranty, so we have 6 chairs, if you will. We have 3 overstuffed recliners that are in the area that was remodeled as the kitchen, and then 3 chairs and a table that went with it.
That's all I had.
Cheapest, so there's also a PCU 50 cutter. That's where the 30K got. Is that a replacement item?
Nope, that's the extrication equipment.
Okay.
That was the 39,000 total, I believe, and then it's just broken out based on funds.
That was that item that we had, okay. I had one other one. I think this has been brought up before, but I don't remember what the resolution was. There was one lights bill there for $2,600 for 2 months. What's that all about?
Is that the string of lights all down Monroe?
Yeah, one of them is 2,600, and it just struck me as
Mayor, is that for what department and who do we pay?
Connexus.
I think this is the one with the multiple lights on it. I think we discussed this before.
I think we have.
Yeah.
And that's,
I think they-
but I don't remember what.
Yeah, I think that they lumped something, I think it's something like 60 or something lights that they put on the one bill, and that's why it comes out so high.
Correct. Yeah, Mayor, so I could pull back up again, but I know it's multiple lights, and I don't mean like 5, I mean like 100 and something lights. And I don't know why they put it on one bill, but the other ones they break out, and that one they kept all together.
Okay.
And it's not Pine View, because those are separate. So.
Thank you, because.
Those cost more.
Okay, that still seems crazy for light, but whatever. That's all I got. Anybody else have anything?
Thanks for taking all the pressure off you guys.
Okay, motion and second.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. On to item I.
Make a motion. Make a motion to approve.
We have to discuss this one.
Go ahead.
We can discuss. I got a
Mayor,
motion.
Mayor, members of council, this is on the agenda for 138th Avenue stormwater improvements. This has been discussed before. I'm stepping in place of Jason, so please be kind. The background is Elm Creek Watershed secured grant funding. We talked about this in early '25. We identified a few projects. This was one of those projects that was going to be used by grant dollars. The council did authorize this project in October of 2025 overall, and it is a grant program that is handled by the watershed and was approved by Bowser, that is the Board of Water and Soil Resources. The purpose is to install, treat the runoff from neighborhoods that are directly and immediately north of Diamond Lake. It is a 50% grant, so 50% city, 50% grant. But we did revise the language that it's a 25% grant, so we were able to adjust the language that it's 75% grant and 25% city, up to $58,000. And so the reason why the $58,000 or the total preliminary cost is $116, $58,000 is the total grant, and we have to cover at least 25% of it. And so that's why you may see in the packet, I believe, there was 3 different scenarios given or whatever though it may be. I don't know if it's on these slides, so it was.
Yep.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second then. I'll discuss the grant and what that looks like. Low bid is Blackstone Contractors. The base bid was for the main artery that goes into North Diamond Lake. And what it is essentially is a new structure that would catch the stormwater, let it settle out, and then drop the stuff to the bottom of it. That allows Marty's people to use the vac truck to be able to suck it out versus using by buckets and such. And so it's much quicker, and that the structures would be built separately or could be built separately. Base and alternate A are what take a majority of the water. Alternate B does take some, but a very, very small portion of this. The entire water, and I wish I had a mouse. Oh, I do have a mouse. Look at that. All the water that goes from here apparently all flows actually toward the west and then into alternate A. So alternate B only handles about this much water, this entire area. By the way that it flows, all of the water that comes and runs off of that farm field actually goes to alternate A. So alternate A actually ends up being one of the dirtiest basins from what I've learned from Jason and Marty. And what we're looking for recommendation for is to approve all alternates and the base bid. It is less than what is our preliminary engineering estimate. And the reason why base bid only is $47,000 and the city is $15,000 is because that's a 25-75 ratio.
Yeah.
So if the base bid only was approved, that is the ratio. Otherwise, we'd be able to use the entire grant up, which is $58,000, and the city would cover the difference. So I will stand, and Marty will stand for any questions.
Scott, was your motion for the base plus A and B?
That's why I said we had to talk about it first. He just approved, and we didn't decide which one we were approving.
Staff wants to do it, and I mean, to me, it sounds like an okay thing to do. We gotta do A for sure. A and B, yeah. I think so.
Then I'll second that.
All right, so now we can get to discussion. Anybody got any questions?
So the 6 property owners were contacted. It says 3 of them you've had talks with. Do we know those 3 in relationship to base versus alt A versus alt B?
Councilor Van Ness, are you asking which one they would prefer?
Which
well,
one's?
So we need people to say yes to this, right? Because we have to go through their property. We need easements. Is that?
Actually, the
I
base
believe
one
we already have easement.
Okay?
I believe
Okay.
we do.
For base, right?
Yes.
Not A and B.
I don't know.
Okay.
if-
A and B, I think they're both in the easement.
I think we have easement for all 3 of these.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
the map doesn't show that, but okay.
Okay.
It might not be full easement, like as in right of way. It may be drainage and utility easement, which does not show up on,
Oh, true.
on the
Yep.
map at all.
Okay.
So if it's drainage and utility easement, it'll just be basically prescriptive over the property and not.
So, other than just communicating what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
is that really what the concern is with talking to the residents?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
That was gonna be my thing. Is like if the only people we haven't talked to is B and B's not a big deal, then like let's just.
Yeah.
But if it's not an issue, then okay, then yeah, I'm fine. I'm on board.
Where did these, I just had one question. The baffles. Are they gonna be on the road? Or just downstream by 10 feet or something?
That'll be just sorry.
I know.
It'll be just like a regular manhole structure,
Yep.
so they'll be at curb level.
But
They'll be in the road.
it'll be close to the road, so you guys just run a hose to
Yeah,
it?
yeah, we just run the hose down them.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
it's just
just
a deeper structure with a baffle in it, to
Yep.
hold back the water and drop the
It's like
sediment
a
out.
Septic tank.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Any other concern or questions? And, okay, so we have a motion and a second for the whole enchilada. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. On to item J.
Yep, good evening, Mayor and members of council. This is the 2026 trail improvements for Territorial Road. Again, I will do my best to handle any questions. I am not nearly as versed on trails as I would like to think I am. So background is the Parks Commission did identify this priority as a trail segment that they'd like to see. This was back in 2023. I think it was priority number 3 or 4 on their list. Connection from the territorial trail to Rush Creek Landing development is identified in blue on the picture and was provided in your packet. Connects the developments west of East French Lake to Elm Creek Park Reserve. The preliminary total cost for this, for an estimate, is $715,000. This does align with Three Rivers Park District's Rush Creek Regional Trail, which I did send out in a weekly update recently. That was a very large document. Likely be able to see that in the future when that gets all hammered out, but I'm not quite ready yet for public consumption. So our cost participation is still up in the air with that document, and so that will be something that we need to discuss and talk about as well for how much will be reimbursed. It has to be on a regionally significant section of trail that the reimbursement would happen, so we'll have to work with what the definition of that looks like. I know Councilmember Fashion had stopped by my office and talked about that at length, and I appreciated the time to be able to talk about regionally significant trail reimbursement for this time, but it would be part of their trail overall, so they would look to have permanent easement over this portion of the trail if and when it were to occur. At least the portion along Territorial Road, not necessarily from Territorial Road, I'm going to use the mouse, to Rush Creek or along Rush Creek Road or Parkway, because that one is not where the original trail would go. The original trail would go south along towards the bridge. There's some significant challenges that was explained to me by Jason. There are some floodplain impacts that we could have some extensive permitting needed. Apparently there is a significant area around this culvert that I'll say that needs to be widely identified. There's very tight constraints for space. Could be some wetland impacts. Again, permitting and heavy permitting would be required and possibly mitigation needed. And then also we need permanent and temporary construction easements because we do not have those along this property line either. And those are 2 owners that unsure. There's some easement here. However, the issue that we have is that there is power poles that run right down the side of that easement, and we have to either go on one side or the other side of the power poles and or move them. None of which of the 3 are cheap, easy, or fun, likely. And so if we have to go on the inside of them, and by inside I mean away from the roadway so that we separate the road and the trail, we have to get easement from those property owners.
And that house is pretty close.
And the house is very close, yes. And if you go the other way, then now you have, the ability to have almost an on-street kind of trail.
Right.
And as we've learned over time, it's not ideal to have an on-street trail. It would also have to make sure that we would identify with Three Rivers Park District to be able to say that we get reimbursed for that. Because if we're putting in a trail that's not going to get reimbursed anyways, now we've just far gone that reimbursement ability to.
So regarding
Park
that,
District, so.
that property in the corner there.
Yep.
So it looked to me like there's not enough even right away, right at the intersection there, right at the.
You talking about right here at the intersection?
Yep, right there. That's only 10 feet from the road edge to that property line. Now, again,
Yep.
maybe there's a problem with the property line, but I don't know how you do that. And we have not talked to this property owner yet, right, about this thing?
Excuse me, we have not. So this has just been identified by the Parks Commission. We are, I'm going to say, a little struggling with the fact that 2 of the 3 of their first 3 priorities we've not been able to successfully do and or have delayed based on other projects being known about or significant issues related to can't get easements. So we are trying to do our best to figure out what the next level of effort is for this one because it is another significant lift to be able to get off the trail or off the road and be able to put a trail together. And so it is something that it's a tough push and request, and we understand that as staff. So task 1 would be done. So I'm going to go back and try to follow as PowerPoint as best as possible. Only task 1 activities will be done, and then we will subsequently talk to council before we do any other tasks. I don't know what's listed in task 1. I apologize. I did not read his staff report or his identifying answers, but my guess is task 1 is basically asking and see if we can get easement before we even move forward. I don't know what's in task 1.
Data collection, design plans, and specs, and
that's the full process. And so I would say that even within task 1, I would be communicating with Jason on a significant basis to say if this is even possible, we're not going to there's no point in spending dollars to see if it's even possible if we don't think it's even gonna be worth it. So I would say that even task one might not even be completed if this was approved to move forward with. But to put any level of effort into it, Jason needs a project to be able to build against, so.
Yeah, unless he can secure.
I'll make a motion to approve as long as we get approval to get the easement before we spend the dollars.
Okay.
I mean,
Before we spend some
Before we
dollars.
spend
we-
significant dollars.
Okay, I will have to expend some dollars and be able to have
Right.
Jason help me with just understanding where
Yep.
the roadway, or the trail layout would be and whatnot, but once we identify, here's the easement we need, talking with the landowners is gonna be item number one.
Yeah.
well, the landowners are Telemarketing International,
Yes,
so, okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that changed owners.
It did.
yes.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. So it seems like the first 6 bullet points of that task one are all kind of research things before, I would think the majority of the hours are spent on the final design and plans and
would presume.
drawing and all that.
Yes.
But maybe if you look at those first 6 and can find out if that gets us to a point with Three Rivers where they can say, pass or play on their end,
Okay.
and then we can decide what we're willing to do moving forward. Also, I looked at the Hennepin County GIS, and I know their lines are not always accurate, but I am concerned that we don't have that full 20 feet under easement already, at least based on those lines, and so that would need to be validated, and, what is missing, if anything. I think that we'd want to know that pretty early on.
We can most certainly do that, Councilmember Passion, there's no problem at all.
And so how do we word this such that, so we're not approving all of task one, we're approving,
So Councilmember Solana did make a motion to say that,
Just to get an agreement with the easements from the landowner.
yes, so a motion that would approve us to move forward up to the point of negotiating with landowners for the easement. And then we'd have to come back to council, it sounds like, from that motion.
okay,
Which, again,
I
may
guess-
make a little bit of work. I just want to make sure it's clarified
Yeah.
that we might have to do a little work of what the design looks like, because I have to bring something to the landowners and say, here's,
This is
Yeah,
what
but you're not gonna spend no $50,000.
No. no.
And we're talking about a few hours and a couple of phone calls, and that's it.
okay, got a motion from Scott.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Carries 5-0. If there are no objections, we'll be adjourned. We're adjourned.